at the time, it's October of 2012, so I'm 33 years old, and I've been in this pharmaceutical industry for 6 years. I got laid off twice, but I went through 4 rounds of layoffs. And I said to my wife, I said, look, you got to give me a chance, because I don't think I can go through the next 30 years of my working life constantly worried if I'm going to get laid off. So I said, the only thing I can promise you with real estate is I definitely won't lay myself off. So I went from wanting to do this part-time to buy a few rental properties, sell some houses to my buddies, to 3.5 years later, we opened the doors at Wychock Real Estate.
It still hits, I don't miss it. It's go, 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 like a go, go flow. And I'm almost done, and I told you so. When I throw these flows like it's Rochambeau, and I ain't too close, it's Joe Smoke goes. And I'm on my grind, that is all the time. I do not do breaks, that's right, I stay in dry. And look, I'm back with a little bit of that, a little more cash than it came with. Ready, that cat is out that bag, but I still ask you, the boy got skills. I don't need her, I don't need him, I don't need help with me, I got this. I can sing songs, I can spit raps, and I can do both, even do this, word.
This episode is brought to you by Sweat Tent, the pioneers of the portable wood-burning sauna. Did you know that using the sauna 3 to 4 times per week could reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease by up to 50% and make you 60% less likely to experience Alzheimer's disease? That's why I've been a big fan of the sauna for years. But having to go to a crowded gym to do it isn't ideal. And all the at-home options are bulky and expensive. That's why I only use the Sweat Tent for my sauna needs. It's the most storable and affordable wood-burning sauna on the market. It not only takes minutes to set up, but it can reach 200 degrees Fahrenheit in 30 minutes or less. So whether you're enjoying it yourself in your backyard, with friends, or in need of a reliable sauna on the go, Sweat Tent is your best choice for the most portable, storable, and enjoyable outdoor sauna experience. All On The Stacks listeners will receive $100 off when you use code OTS. Visit sweattent.com today to get $100 off your purchase with code OTS at checkout. Again, that's sweattent.com to get $100 off with code OTS. Sweat Tent, helping you fire up your home wellness routine. This episode is brought to you by Wilkes Consulting, a Ramsey-preferred coaching firm. Are you drowning in debt? Is the weight of financial stress holding you back from living the life you were meant to live? Then it's time to break free and regain control of your financial future. Wilkes Consulting specializes in financial and debt consulting. Their team of 4 highly trained Ramsey Solutions advisors are ready to help you take charge of your money. Whether you're looking to get out of debt, pay off student loans, or simply need assistance on how to prepare to buy a home, Wilkes Consulting can help you fine-tune your budget and provide the resources and guidance you need to meet your goals. Don't let debt or the fear of finances control your life any longer. Head over to wilkes-barre.com and book a hassle-free, no-obligation call. Your first step towards financial freedom. Again, that's wilkes-barre.com, WILCOPA.com. Wilkes Consulting, making financial independence a reality. This episode is brought to you by Burn, the fitness company behind the Today Show approved Burn board. If I'm being honest, working out can be a real chore, especially as a new dad in desperate need of sleep and cardio. Burn is founded by NEPA native Jimmy T. Martin, and his Burn board offers a low-impact core and cardio experience unlike anything I've done before. They have hundreds of on-demand workouts that are great for beginners, seasoned athletes, and out-of-shape podcast hosts who love supporting small businesses. My wife and I use it pretty frequently throughout the week, and it's honestly a great way to burn a ton of calories without burning a ton of cash. Not to mention, it's a great tool for skiers, runners, wrestlers, and hockey players. Jimmy is offering all On The Stacks listeners 15% off when they use the code STACKS15. Visit theburn.com today to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15 at checkout. Again, that's theburn, THEBRRN.com to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15. It's time to get on board today with Burn. What's up, podcast? It's your host, Bill Corcoran Jr. here in the Blue Door Studio, brought to you by Sweat Tent. Dave Wychock, welcome to the On The Stacks podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm pumped.
Me too.
This is, I feel like a long time coming.
I agree.
You know, and I feel like before we go any further, and he's going to be so proud that we shouted about this early, Bob Cal.
Oh, yeah, he's my guy.
Bob Cal.
Love him.
You know?
Love him.
I know we knew of each other, you know, but we never really, you know, actually spoke and met.
Well, that's what happens sometimes, right? Like when you're like a busy person, you know, you got your own thing going on, and it's
moving a million miles an hour.
Yeah. So I mean, it just sometimes it goes that way.
Yeah. And Bob called me. I was like, "Hey, you got to meet Dave Wychock." And I'm like, yeah, I think I know Dave.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, then he called me. Then like you're messaging me. We're messaging, and like,
yeah.
a few weeks later, here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. So I'm excited, man.
I am too. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it. So this will be fun.
You're doing some big things.
Trying to. Yeah.
know?
Trying to.
And I can't wait to hear about the real estate market that everyone thinks is going down.
It's not. That's so funny, right? Because it's just
That's what everyone says.
they do. Well, it's just so weird, right? Because it's just things are happening so much faster than they've happened in the past. Just real estate usually goes on a pretty slow swing, but post COVID, it has been like whiplash reactions in the market. Where else are you going to see? Like at one time, I'll give you an idea of just how wild things were. When Kathy and I were building our house, we bought our lot in April. People across the street bought their lot same week we did. And at the time, we locked right into our building contract, right on the spot. We wanted to build immediately. And the person across the street said, I think I'm going to wait a little while, like prices on some lumber.
They're going to wait for it to go down.
Yeah, they wanted to wait for it to go down, and they said, what about the interest rate? How do you feel about the interest rate? Because on new construction, they were a little bit higher. So I locked in I think it was September of 2021, I locked in 3.6%. And people were like, 3.6, you crazy? Because it was 3, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 3.6. And like now you look at that and you're like, man, thank God I did this when I did
People
it.
would be dying to get that.
Yeah, right. And then unfortunately, the woman across the street who bought the lot, she like 2 years later sold it. She was going to wait for the prices to come down. The interest rates kept going up.
They never did, huh?
Prices kept going up, and then before you knew it, she couldn't afford to build a house anymore.
Nor could you probably even get the lumber.
It was wild.
Everything.
It was wild. So when we closed on our lot, it was April Fool's Day, and
what a joke.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah,
terrible dad jokes.
That's all right. I'm good at that. And then they didn't start. I think our foundation got set at like the end of September. So it was almost like a 5 to 6 month wait at the time for like superior walls, because we wanted to, we have a walkout basement and stuff like that. So we wanted that. So we're like, yeah, just wait. But like we started the loan process immediately, because the one thing I do know, I mean, I've been in real estate long enough where the one thing I do know, if you try to time the market, that's maybe the worst thing you could do. It really is. And it's one of those things where it's like, you have to live when you're living. Like, I know that sounds dumb, but like, think about that, right? Like if you, so let's go back. I sold a couple, a house in Wilkes-Barre. It was, I think 2017. I sold them a house. It was just to show you how crazy this market has been since then. They bought the house for $46,000 and they bought it with an FHA loan. So it was like literally move-in ready. I think they had to paint some windowsills before they moved in. That was it. And but it was a house that you could live in. They bought it for $46,000. It was 3 beds, 1 bath, and it had a 1-car garage and a fenced-in backyard.
Wow.
2017, $46,000. And they sold it like 5 years later, like right after they reopened the market, like that going into winter of 2020. They sold it for $105,000. And it's one of those things where like, imagine if you were saving to buy a house and you're like, I'm gonna save until I have 10% down or 5% down, 20, whatever it may be. All right, fine. Well, if you thought you were gonna buy a house for $50,000 and you were gonna save until you had 10% down, well, if but you're saving that money, and then 3 years later when you have the money,
you need double.
Yeah, you need double.
Yeah, you just keep saving.
So you can't.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, and you can't make enough. You can't get there. There's no path.
There's never a perfect. I say this all the time. There's never a perfect time. There's never a right time. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's buying a house, selling a house, or whether it's starting a business or anything, whatever it is. Like if you always wait for the perfect moment, you're just gonna wait forever.
And then what? You know what I mean? And then it's over. And the thing of it is, like, for those people who jumped in when the market wasn't great or whatever else, they're sitting on tons of equity. And that's the thing too. Like right now, the big thing, just like anything else, like the market goes up, the market comes down. So now the big thing is like, I'm going to wait for the crash. I'm going to wait for the market to crash.
Good luck timing it.
And I'm like, it's not going to happen. Like we remember, the crash of 2008 because that's the most recent market crash. But the dynamics of the market were so different that it has nothing to do with what's happening today. In 2008, it was bad loans. It was people that didn't have any money, getting, no document loans, subprime, the subprime mortgage market, right? So like it was people that had no business buying a house in the first place.
It's crazy, by the way.
Yeah, right. And then, there's a bunch of bad mortgages out there. and people were going into foreclosure. They were walking away. They're walking away because they have no money in the deal. You know what I mean? It's easy to walk away from something that you're not invested in. So if you bought something for nearly no money down and your credit's going to be in the tank anyway, it's easy to walk away from that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not much to lose.
Yeah. Look, it's like dating. You know, if you date somebody for 2 weeks, pretty easy to call quits.
Cut ties quick. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like one of those things where now the market was flooded with foreclosures because you had a bunch of houses that people owed more than they were worth, and they just gave up. They walked away. Now, here you are today, and yeah, people say, well, the prices went up so much, it has to crash. And I'm like, you don't understand, though. Like, we sold, I think in 2021, like 30% of our deals were cash buyers.
That's crazy.
But like, and I'm not talking like a little bit of money. We, at one point in time in 2021, we had an investor. He bought in a week. He bought 5 different properties. It was $1.9 million. He paid cash.
1.9 million
Paid cash
in total.
Five different properties. Yep. You know, he bought, and that wasn't, he kept buying. Like, that wasn't all he bought with us. Like, he bought other stuff with us as well. So like, that doesn't, like, there is no crash on that, right?
Yeah, you can't beat that.
He owns it, you know? And then the other thing is too, if you bought your house pre-pandemic, you know, if you bought that house in 2017 for 50 grand, and let's say you lost your job, well, you're not going into foreclosure because you'll sell it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because now it's not worth 50, it's worth 150.
Yeah.
So what we have now is we have a lot of homeowners out there that are sitting on mountains of equity.
My God, dude, I think about it every day.
Yeah. So
my wife and I, we bought our house in the fall of 2019. How lucky did we get?
Man, that's like, it is literally the golden ticket.
Yeah,
it is literally the golden
we
ticket.
think about it every day. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a second. Our house is worth, I think, almost double what we bought it for.
Yeah. I saw a guy up a mountaintop, bought his house in January, closed it in January of 2020, bought it for $156,000, and he's under contract now for over 300 grand. 4 years. Like 4 years, it doubled. I mean, like, you know, and now the flip side of that is I get a bunch of people going, man, if we would have bought 10 houses back then, I'm like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, if we would have.
You and everybody else.
Yeah, coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Back to the whole, like you said before, like if there's no sense in waiting.
No.
You know, if you wait, like you're gonna miss everything. Mm-hmm. You know, and I also kind of want to touch on, before we started actually recording, we were saying about like just being present, you know, and being a dad and trying to balance. Trying to balance everything, you know, as a business owner and traveling, doing stuff with the kids, like you have two almost teenagers.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to scare you here.
I know,
but, like,
right? I know.
But like there's a lot. It's like, you know, like you said, like how do you be present with the family and still run the business? And you got, you know, more than a couple businesses.
You know, it's challenging, right? So the thing that I could say about that is, and it's probably the thing that I screwed up the most in the beginning. You know, like when you look back at it now, like we've been in business now, Wychock Real Estate, we've been around for over 8 years now. So it's long enough where you could look back at what you did in the beginning and you're like, all right, you know, what could I have done better? And, you know, the thing that I should have done more of in the beginning is I should have delegated more. And I think that the way that you make it work is just surround yourself with a great team, you know, and I have that. I've got a bunch of agents that genuinely care about each other. They want to help each other. I have a great admin. I have a transaction coordinator that, you know, writes all my contracts for me, keeps my deals on track. And it's so funny. It's like when you put those things into place, it gets a little bit easier to scale when you have the team around you, you know, and you're right. Like, because we have the real estate business, you know, I have an ownership interest in a title company. We just opened up a real estate school last year. So, I mean, I've got a lot of different things going on, and I'm able to do that because I've surrounded myself with great people. And it just opens up so many more doors for you. Like I love the sales part of the job, you know, like I'm a broker and I enjoy that too. But the part that I really enjoy, the thing that's probably the most fun for me, is working with first-time home buyers. They're fun, you know, because you get to teach them so much about the process, you know, and like everything is new. It's kind of cool, you know what I mean?
Something new
like,
every day. It's like,
yeah,
I
and
get to relive that experience.
And look, it's exciting, it's fun, and it's kind of quirky, and you learn a lot about people throughout the process. And for me, that's the part that I enjoy the most. But I mean, after the pandemic, it got so crazy. Like, I'm trying to sell houses, but you were writing so many offers just to get one accepted. Like, I'll tell you, this is great. So I worked with one couple. They got a house. It was the 9th house that they made an offer on. And their 8 previous offers were all over asking. They got outbid 8 times.
And probably a lot cash, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, they were losing out to cash. They were losing out to better financing. They were losing out to just, I mean, and like when I say over asking, like,
And we're not talking a couple thousand
no,
bucks.
like the house is on the market for like 180. We're offering 210, and they're going like, sorry, we have a better offer. And you're like,
You're like, how?
what? You know what I mean? Like crazy stuff like that. You know, and you're just like, okay, well, it is what it is. So finally, the 9th house that they made an offer on, it got accepted for them. You know, when I work with first-time home buyers, I mean, there's some concern in the beginning because they're like, they've never done this before. And one thing I like to say to first-time home buyers, I tell them all the time, I'm like, look, by the time you're done buying a house with me, you're going to know more than half the realtors out there. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to teach you this process as we go through it. Maybe the funniest part of that story is the guy in the couple. He's now one of my realtors.
There you go. Look at that. You taught him so much.
He's like,
sign me up, Dave.
He's like, yeah, I think I want to get my license. You know what I mean? It was just like one of those things. It was wild, but you know, I enjoy that part of it. But I couldn't do it if I didn't scale. So you know how that circles back. So I got a transaction coordinator, and I brought her on board, and it was one of those things where it was like, look, I enjoy working with clients, but I don't have time to write offers all night, right? Because I'm running a business. And then I'm selling houses, but I go home at the end of the day, and I can't be at the kitchen island writing offers for 2 hours, or like, what's the point? Like if I don't if I don't have a chance to spend time with my family, what's the point? So
it's all for nothing.
It really is, you know. So I mean, I went out and I hired a transaction coordinator, so it's great. So like I get an offer that I want to get put in, I send her a text message, hey, this is what we're looking to do. These are the terms. She gets everybody's email. She writes all my contracts for me. The first time I did that, it was like, I felt really brilliant and really dumb at the same time. Because I'm like, oh, this is the best. And I'm like, what in God's name took me so long to do this? Because it was so significantly better than what I was doing before, writing everything on my own, trying to do everything my own way. Because I'm very protective of the brand. I mean, the brand is my name, right?
Yeah.
Like it's my family's name.
Your name's on the wall.
So like, you know, I'm protective of that, right? And it matters to me. So I want to be as hands-on as I can be, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't delegate things. And kind of learned that the hard way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How did you learn how to delegate? I think that's something. I mean, everybody struggles with it, myself included, right? Because you know, I'm the same way. It's like, this is like my baby, right? It's like, you know, when you start a business, it doesn't matter what it is, right? It is. It's like it's your baby, and you're so protective of it because you want it to be done the right way, the way, you know, not that your way is always the right way, but like, you know, you think it is, right?
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot to it that like you don't want to, you know, let go of the reins because you're afraid like, oh, they're not going to do it.
It's the hardest part. It's the hardest part. And I'll tell you, I got there. I'll credit my wife for this. I got there. It had nothing to do with the business.
Shout out to the wives, by the way.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It had nothing to do with the business. I literally stumbled upon it by accident. Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, do you ever see a bird fly into a window? I'm like, that's how I learned everything. You know what I mean? Like the hard way. I'm like, oh, that was dumb. I should not do that again.
Yep.
But like, so I used to cut my own grass, right? And you know, you're working all the time, especially in real estate. You're working on the weekends, and then you're trying to find time. You got to cut the grass because you know you can't be the worst neighbor on the block and all that stuff. And my wife says to me one day, she goes, you got to stop cutting the grass. Because like I was a dope. Like we didn't have a shed at the last house. We don't have a shed now, but like so I push mowed everything.
That's how I was.
So
too.
it took me like 2 hours to cut the grass, right? And she's like, look, the grass, you can't do this anymore. She's like, you know, we got to go to birthday parties, you know, because at the time, like the kids were the age where like when you had a birthday party, every kid went, like everybody gets invited. So she's like, we got to go to birthday parties. We got to go to Knoebels. We got to go do all these different things. And like,
you're busy cutting the grass.
You can't be cutting the grass. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? She's like, look, she goes, you know, the neighbor had, you know, somebody comes, they cut the grass, looks really good, you know? And I'm like, I don't want to do that, you know, because I kind of like cutting the grass. It's kind of like my thing, you know? And she goes, look, just try it. So I try have someone cut the grass. So guy comes over the house first time. He goes, yeah, you know, introduce himself. Hi, how are you? He goes, yeah, I'll get the grass cut for you. I said, okay, fine. He said, well, look, I said, how does this work? You know, I'll just cut the grass and you know, send you a bill, whatever. So, okay, that's fine, right? So I'm like, all right, well, I go inside. I got a shower. I got to get ready. I go in my house. I jump in the shower. I put clothes on. Like it doesn't take a long time for this to happen, so it's pretty quick, you know. And I come back out and I'm like,
so, what does your wife? Did she pick this out though? Like,
yeah, you know what I mean. Like she. Sometimes I have to look the part.
Yeah, right.
So I do this thing. I get out of the shower. I go, where'd he go? She goes, he's done. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, he's done. Like
In the time that it took you just to take a shower.
13 minutes. You know what I mean? Like I come out, the grass is like perfectly manicured. Like
got the nice lines,
it's
right?
Edged. I'm like, oh, I'm dumb. I shouldn't have been doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, you know what? I gotta apply that to business a little bit too. Where like you don't have to do everything yourself. And the trick is like when you really start to think about it, right? Because you want to scale your business, you want to get bigger, you want to do more, and you cannot do it if you don't have the right people around you. You just can't. So, you know, then I applied that to like a transact. Well, initially it was just an admin. Dude, I did everything. I was answering the phones. Like when I tell you I did everything in the beginning.
One-man band man.
Dude, I did everything, you know, and I'm like, oh, this is dumb. Then I hired an admin and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Like someone else
I'm
puts the files
little less
away.
dumb now.
Yeah. So, and it just kind of grew from there where it was just like, you know, I really shouldn't be doing all these things. And the other part of it was, you know, you start to think about like, how do I make money? Right? Like, how do I make money? Like, I don't make money to write contracts. I make money to get offers accepted. But if I'm so busy writing contracts all the time, I'm working with less people. And if I'm working with less people, I can't negotiate deals. And if I can't negotiate deals, I don't make any money.
Or if you're too busy cutting the grass.
Or if you're too busy cutting the grass, right? So like these are the things. Like we have somebody now. Like we built a house and we love the house, but it's a big house. You know what I mean? It's 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. So like no one on the planet wants to clean 5 bathrooms, right? And like our kitchen's 400 square feet. No one wants to clean a big kitchen like that. The floors, the carpets, like no one wants to do it.
Especially when you got kids.
Yeah, it's so hard, right? So it's like, it's one of those things where, okay, so here's our thing. I'd like our house to be clean and my wife wants our house to be clean, but she works all day and she doesn't want to do it. And I work all day and I don't want to do it. So now we're at an impasse, right? So it's like, no one wants to do it.
I hope my wife doesn't watch this episode, by the way. I'm screwed. You really put me in a pickle here, Dave.
sorry. But I'm telling you, like, so it's one of those things. I'm like, all right, well, look, we want a clean house. I don't want to do it. You know, so now we got to pay somebody to do it. So, you know, we hired somebody to come in, cleans that every other week, comes in, it's perfect. It's perfect. Like everything's, it's like the lines are in the carpet and like the bathrooms are pristine and the kit. And I'm like, and then you know what's funny? Like when you hire somebody, like you do it because you have to, and you're like, I hate this, but you do it. You have to do it, right? You don't want to live in a dirt. But then like when you hire someone and that's what they do for a living, and they're so much better at it than you, and you're like, this is
way more efficient.
Doing this? Yeah, like I remember like the first house we bought, it was a disaster. A lot of people might not know. It really was. Like we had no money. Like, and that's what's so funny about this, right? Like I think about where we are now as a company, as opposed to like, you know, when we just first started out, or when my wife and I first got married. We actually bought our first house before we were married, and we were doing all these things. We had nothing. We had no money, you know. So our first house we bought a double block in Glen Lyon.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you were neighbors with Bob, basically.
Almost, yeah, almost. Right. So we paid like, I think at the time it was 2006 or 2007, we paid $51,000 for it. And like our concept was, well, look, we'll rent one side out and that'll pay for the other side and whatever. And so we were living in this house, and it was a project and a half. But it was one of those things. I was young and I was dumb and I didn't know any better. And I'm like, how hard can it be to hang sheetrock? Like,
yeah,
it's got to be. And spackling, I mean, it's kind of like painting, you know? Like,
yeah.
And then like the first time I hung sheetrock and like spackled a wall, I'm like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And then what made it worse is I actually saw someone that does it for a living, and I'm like,
you're embarrassed.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Like it took me like a day to like spackle a wall. They could do like a house, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, that was so dumb. Why was I doing that?
Did I ever tell you my story? First time when we bought our first house, what I did?
No.
I drilled a hole right through this thumb. New bathroom.
Yeah.
Same thing. It was like, you know, like we could do this. You know, I had my aunt. She's very handy.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, I was like, she came and helped us, and I was like, you know, my wife and I, like, we would take turns doing different parts of the bathroom, right? And literally, I'm putting up some framing and about to put some drywall.
Yeah.
And I'm standing all awkwardly over the tub, and drill slipped off the nail, and boom.
Fun times.
Hurt.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Pretty bad.
Well, you know, and like that's the thing. Like you learn those lessons in life. Where you're like, I shouldn't have been doing this in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I've drilled PTSD is what I tell everybody now.
I'm telling you, it's the truth. And you know what? In a way, that actually helped me be a better realtor. And like at the time, like real estate wasn't even on the radar for me. I wasn't in real estate at the time. So it wasn't even something that was on the radar for me. But now I look back at that and it makes sense, right? So like, you know, you're working with someone, a lot of first-time home buyers are using FHA loans, right? So they're putting 3.5% down, and you know, you walk them into a house and they're looking at it and they're like, well, we could redo the kitchen, and then we can add a bathroom in the basement. And I'm like, all right, guys, so when we met, you told me you have $9,000. You need $7,000 down to buy this $200,000 house. So you're gonna have $2,000 left, and now you're sitting here planning the kitchen remodel. Like, just because, like, could you do it though? Like, because that's the thing. Everybody thinks like, oh, I could do this, I could do it. No, you can
Until you go to do it.
Right, and like you have to have the money to do it. You know what I mean? Like, and especially now, like, forget it.
Everything's
like,
4 times, 5 times as much.
It's hard. It's hard. You can't do anything inexpensively. Like, I'm joking around. Like now we our project. Like we want to put our permanent fence around the pool. We want to do some landscaping in front of the house, and I'm like, all right. So the starting price is $10,000. Where do we go from there? Like, everything you do anymore it's like thousands just to get started, you know? So, you have to be mindful. Like, if you have the money, you could do it. But if you don't have the money, maybe if you don't love the kitchen, it might not be the house. You know what I mean? Like, you might try to find something a little bit different. Or like, people are talking about like blowing out walls. And I'm like, have you ever blown out a wall before? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like,
I could do it.
Like, it sucks.
I've seen it on HGTV.
I'm like, I just want to let you know, those walls are plaster, which is concrete.
Yeah. little harder.
Yeah, which is like super heavy and messy and dirty and difficult to deal with. And like, so some of the mistakes I made as a consumer, I learned from that. And now here I am as a realtor all these years later. And I'm like, you might want to kick these ideas around before you start, planning on which wall to blow out and like, remodeling a kitchen, which is not cheap. You know what I mean? So if you don't have the money, you got to think about those things. So it's so funny because at that time, I was working in pharma. That was my path to real estate.
I was gonna say, was this your entry?
Well, no. I mean, when
how did you get into real estate?
So wild, right? So we it's funny. So I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. I got into that in my like mid 20s and early 30s, making good. I was like, it was so weird. It was an odd time in my life. I'm gonna be completely honest. It was an odd time in my life because I was selling pharmaceuticals, and my wife's like 3 years younger than me. So like a lot of her friends and stuff like that, they're her age, obviously they're not my age. So it's like I was like the old one in the group essentially. So I had this job that like the money was bananas back then. Like you look at it now and you're like, man, I don't know, it's not that much money. But at the time, I was making a lot of money. And they paid for your car, they paid for your gas, they paid for your insurance. You needed tires, you just went and got them. They paid for it. It was awesome. It was a really great job. And like towards the end, I started to hate it. So I started feeling guilty about it.
Why'd you hate it?
I've been very fortunate to have really great coaches and really great managers throughout my life. And, the flip side of that is too, I've had some bad ones, and not that they were bad people, not that they were bad managers. It was just probably a bad mix.
Fit?
Yeah, bad fit, because I don't think I've encountered very many people in my life that like intentionally tried to harm me in any way, but sometimes you're right. It's just like a bad fit. You know what I mean? For whatever reason. And I know it's a bad fit because, I've left pharma and I've had successful, and the people that I didn't necessarily see eye to eye with, they're still, and they're doing great. So, I mean, they weren't wrong. I wasn't wrong. It just wasn't a good fit. You know what I mean? Like it happens, So, I didn't really enjoy the last manager I was with, and you read that, you say, oh, people don't quit companies, they quit managers, and I'm like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like I do see that to some degree, and so for me, there was like a lot of guilt associated with that. Cause I'm like, man, I should be loving my job. Like a lot of my friends were just getting their life started and like, here I am.
And they're probably looking at you like, holy shit, like Dave's crushing it. Like, look at us, you know?
And I hated my life.
Yeah. But like they didn't know that.
Right. You know what I mean? And it was like, God damn it. So like, I wanted to find like a pathway out. Like that was something that was in my mind. I'm like, I'm not sure if I could do this. I was in pharma for 6 years. I worked for 3 different companies. I went through 4 layoffs. I made the cut twice and I got laid off twice, which is a nice way to say they fired you. But like that's what happened, right? They said like if they said, well, no, we're letting you go because your position got eliminated. And I'm like, yeah, but if you thought I was like truly great, you'd probably eliminate someone else's position, right? Like,
somebody else before
wouldn't be me, right? So like, I appreciate you trying to make me feel better about this, but like, let's be clear, I'm getting fired. Like if you thought I was just a straight up killer, you'd be like, you know what? Fire Dave's partner. Let's keep him around because we don't want to lose that guy.
We don't want to lose Dave.
Yeah, right. But like they didn't feel that way. You know what I mean? So they're like,
fire Dave.
Yeah, fire Dave. We don't care. You know what I mean? So that's what happened. But during that time, because I was doing pretty well, I got at the time I got a business partner, and we came up with this idea. We're going to start buying rental properties. All right. So it was like cool. It's like, all right, we're going to start buying these rental properties. Let's, because we're going to make money on these rentals. And so by that time, Kathy and I had bought our second house, which was our first house in Mountaintop. And we get this idea, all right, let's start buying rentals. So we did. We started buying rentals. So we bought our first 5 rentals with our business partner at the time. We bought those pretty quickly, like maybe over like a 6-month span. And me being an idiot, like I said to my wife, I said, I think I could do this. And she's like, do what? And I'm like, we loved our realtor, by the way. So we bought a house from, and she's still in the business, doesn't work for me, works for somebody else. But we loved our realtor. She was great. We had a different realtor that worked on us to buy our house, and Kathy liked him too. But we went to an open house. We saw that, met this lady. She really liked her. And Kathy said, well, look, if we buy rentals, we're going to call that lady. So all right, so we did. So we called her, and she was who we were working with, and she's still a good friend today. And, so we're buying these houses, and I say to Kathy, I'm like, I think I could do this. She goes, do what? I'm like, I think I can get my real estate license. And we're like, instead of giving that money away, like keep some of it in the house. You know what I mean? Like, and, I'll make the money. I'm like, how hard could that be? And she, you're an idiot. You can't do this. Like, you don't have time the way it is. And I'm like, yeah, but I really think I can do it. So sure enough, I get this idea. I'm going to take the real estate class. So I did. So I took my real estate class. I got my license. And initially, when I got into real estate, I was still in pharma. So my plan was,
This was like pre-firing.
yeah. But I could, it was coming. It was coming. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you start looking around and you're like, this doesn't look right. We launched a product that didn't go really well. And I'm like, oh, I know how this story ends.
Dave's getting fired.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You know what I mean? I could tell you some stories about that. Not for this podcast, but man, I'll tell you some of the things that we did back then, just funny stuff. But so I get this idea, I get this real estate. So I get my license, and my initial plan was, I'll just do real estate part-time. Buy some rental properties, make a couple bucks, and
save a few bucks.
And the thing of it was, like, the rental thing was going pretty well at the time. So like, I had friends who literally still, and to this day, are like buying and selling houses with me, who were like in the real estate business with me. And they're like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm buying these rentals. They're like, is it going good? I'm like, yeah, pretty good. So now they start buying. So like, initially my plan was, look, I'll get my license. When we buy a house, I'll get to keep the money instead of like somebody else. And if my buddies want to buy investment properties, I'll sell them investment properties. Like, how hard could that? Like, I knew what to do. You know what I mean? I knew how to make money in that market. So I'm like, all right, cool. So that's what I'll do. So I got my real estate license. It was June of 2012. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I got my real estate license. My son had just turned 1. My daughter at the time was like 4 months old. My kids are only 11 months apart. So right now I have...
It's tight.
It is, man. So right now I have
God bless you.
2 12-year-olds. We were at the dentist. We had to go to like the orthodontist. They had like a consult. They're at that age now where like, do they need braces?
Yeah.
So like, it was one of those things where I'm like, oh geez, because it's like
expensive.
Well, yeah. But like they're asking my kids. They sit down. My daughter goes first. How old are you, honey? She's like, I'm 12. And I'm like, oh God, don't ask my son. Don't ask my. Hey buddy, how old are you? I'm 12. And they're like, oh. Are they twins? And I'm like, no. And then like they look at you like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, I was reading books on being a parent. Apparently, I didn't read that book. You know what I mean? So it's just like, so here we are. They're 11 months apart. So right now I have 2 12-year-olds, but I had 2 young kids. You know what I mean? So it was June of 2020 or June of 2012, and then in October of 2012, I get laid off from pharma, from my third and final pharmaceutical company. So here we are. It's October of 2012. We were living in our house for a little over a year. I have a 1-year-old. I have a 6-month-old. And I get laid off.
And now you have no income.
6-figure income. Now it's 0. Like, right? So, so then I have this conversation with my wife. I'm like, hey, I got laid off. Because I got laid off. Oh my God, what are we going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to go full-time in real estate. And she was like, you are the dumbest person I've ever met in my entire... Like, it's scary, right? Because here you are, you have this job, and every 2 weeks, that direct deposit hits. Every quarter, you get a bonus. Some are good, some aren't good, And, I've got 2 young kids. They're in daycare at this point in time. And, Kathy's a teacher, so at the time, she's been in it a little bit longer now, so it's a little bit better. But back then, she wasn't making very much money at all. Certainly not enough to pay for everything on her own. So I said, well, I'm gonna go real estate full time. And she's like, you're insane. I'm like, think I could do it though. She goes, why? I said, well, I had experience in 3 different pharmaceutical companies. One I left, my first company I left for my second company. 9 months later, got laid off. Believe it or not, I got laid off in 9 months, and that was the second round of layoffs that went through. So I was at this second company for 9 months, and there were 2 rounds of layoffs in 9 months. I made the first cut, and I'm like, oh my God. And then literally like 9 months from the time I got hired, I got laid off. Then I get hired by my second company. We went through a round of layoffs. I made the cut there. I'm like, oh my God. And then the second time through, I got clipped the second time. So, at the time, it's October of 2012. So I'm 33 years old. And I've been in this pharmaceutical industry for 6 years. I got laid off twice, but I went through 4 rounds of layoffs. And I said to my wife, I said, look, the only thing I could promise you, like I said, you have to give me a chance at this. If I'm terrible at it, I'll literally go. You won't even have to. I'll know.
I'll get another job.
I'll just go do something else. But I said, you got to give me a chance, because I don't think I can go through the next 30 years of my working life constantly worried if I'm going to get laid off. So I said, the only thing I could promise you with real estate is I definitely won't lay myself off.
Can't get fired.
I can't get fired.
Can't fire yourself.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, because, you're an independent contractor. Like, yeah, you work for a brokerage, but you're an independent contractor. And I always had like this belief, this belief that I could actually sell. And that was the thing about pharma that was weird, because like you didn't actually sell. So like you'd have to create like scenarios. You'd be like, all right, doc, the next time you see a patient and they have A, B, and C, can I count on you to write my drug? And they'd be like, no problem, Dave. Thanks, doc. Appreciate your time. High five, turn around, walk away.
It's like a Wolf of Wall Street, right?
And you have no earthly clue if they have any intention on following through. You don't find out until like weeks later. Then like you get the data and you're like, they didn't write my drug, or oh, hey, they did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like there was no, and like sometimes your manager would come along, and then you really have to like ham it up, like you're giving them like the wink, like. Like, hey,
I think they're doing it.
Just so you know, I'm really going to sell you hard this time. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like a song and dance. I didn't really love it. But like real estate, like, like if someone doesn't want to work with you, they literally go work with somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
like it's,
and there's a lot of other options.
Yeah. Like I say it all the time. There's a realtor behind every tree. Look outside. You see a tree? There's a realtor behind that thing.
Yeah.
There's a million realtors.
They're everywhere.
Right? Yeah. So it's like one of those things where it's like, what would make someone want to work with you and not somebody else? Like you have to have that sales pitch if you're going to be successful in the industry. And the other thing is, there's a lot of realtors out there, but like any job that's currently being done, someone's the best at it and someone's the worst. Right?
Yeah.
So like that's the nature of good and bad, right? Like if someone's the best, someone's the worst. Like if you look at a professional baseball team and there's 24 guys on the roster, somebody's the best player, but somebody's got to be 24. So right,
somebody's got to suck.
Like right, exactly, right. So like when you pick a realtor, like it's pretty important to know who you're working with, because you could literally be working with the worst realtor out there, and that's a really bad spot to be in.
Yeah,
like you're trying to find a person that's who's the best realtor. Well, it depends, right? We talked about fit before. Like in my job, like I think my manager is probably a good manager, just not for me. So like I think there's a lot of really good realtors out there, but you kind of have to fit your clients a little bit too. Like your personalities hook up and it works. But you definitely don't want to be with a terrible realtor.
Yeah,
and like. I don't want to say that there, but just by the nature of like every day, the worst surgeon in America cuts into somebody. If someone's the best, someone has to be the worst, right?
When you think about it.
Yeah, right. So I mean, like it is what it is. Now they're doctors, but so they're obviously pretty good, but someone's better, so maybe they're the worst. So like you don't want to get stuck being in a really bad situation like that. But how do you find a good realtor? Well, it's challenging, right? So like you ask them questions and stuff like that, and I mean. My sales pitch is probably a little bit different. Well, I know it is. It's a lot different now than when I just got started. But I always had a reason for why someone would want to work with me. And I think if you're going to try to be successful in the industry, you have to have that too. But for me, the one thing that gave me an advantage, even right from the beginning, I will say this. In pharmaceuticals, when you're not selling, you're training. You are learning how to sell. I mean, the training that you get in the pharmaceutical industry, sales training, is really second to none. I mean, it's brilliant.
That's what I hear.
Like, you think about it, right? Like, these are billion-dollar corporations.
Yeah, they invest so much money into
so
that.
much.
They have to.
So like, you know, the training that you get in real estate or that you get in pharmaceuticals is tremendous.
You're a machine.
Yeah. So like when I came into real estate, it almost felt like I had a cheat code.
Like it was like almost like you were already like 4 steps ahead.
Well, yeah, because, you know, like the interesting thing about real estate is so many people come to it as like a second, third, fourth, like me, it's my third career. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like you might, you know, like I came out of pharmaceuticals and I'm getting into real estate sales and I'm like, man, I'm going to, you know, like the person I'm competing against is a full-time nurse, never sold anything in her, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, I could do better than that person. You know what I mean? So it's just like, so that's the thing. So I felt confident in my ability to sell. And I liked the fact that it was very matter of fact. Like pre-COVID, it was normal to have like a listing presentation and it'd be like, all right, Dave, well, I'm meeting with you and I'm meeting with these 2 other realtors and then we'll call you and let you know if you got the deal or not. And you're like, I mean, you know right away if you got it or if you didn't, either did or you didn't. So I kind of liked that. I was I used to be an athlete. Now I'm old, but like, the competition part of things I really enjoyed. And I just, even if it doesn't go well for you, you know, like all right, so if I had a listing appointment and then, you know, they call me, they go, hey Dave, you know, we're going to go with somebody else. I say, hey, good luck. You know, great person, you know, I hope you do well. But I'd always say, like, if you don't mind me asking, why'd you pick them instead of me? Like, I'm not trying to talk you out of it, but like,
You just want to learn.
I just want to know, right? Because now if you tell me, well, hey, I went with them because of this, I'm like, all right, well, I got to fix that. So exactly.
Smart.
So that whole time I'm just trying to improve my game. Like if you want to work with somebody else, totally fine, go for it. Good luck to you. Why'd you pick them and not me? What did they say? What did they do? What was their presentation that made you say, this is our person and not him? And you know what's funny? Most people will tell you. You know what I mean? They'll be like, well, here's why. I mean, like, it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like, you want to know. And then I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to make that mistake again. Or they liked this part about their presentation. Or they talked about this and I didn't. Well, the next, I'm going to talk about that too. So the whole time you're just getting a little bit better at what you do, a little bit better each time, you know? And overall, I mean, it served me really well. So it was just like so crazy. So I landed in real estate full time. I got 2 young kids. I got a wife who's, you know, probably praying to God every night that we make this work. And we kind of did, you know, before you knew it. I kind of hit the ground running. I sold a ton of houses in the very beginning. I mean, I think my first full year in real estate, I think I sold like 40 some houses. So I'm like, all right, well, this works. You know, I could do this. So I went from wanting to do this part-time to buy a few rental properties, sell some houses to my buddies, to 3.5 years later, we opened the doors at Wychock Real Estate. Bananas.
Probably never thought.
No,
Not in a million years, right?
Oh, no, not at all. You know, like, look, it just, it was never the plan. You know, it was never the plan. It was never something that I really thought about, and I was doing pretty well. And then, but it's just like anything else. You know, you start to grow, like you start doing the job, and you're like, well, geez, maybe maybe I would do things a little bit differently, or maybe I'd try this instead of that, and then you start to think to yourself, like, you know, maybe I should be out on my own. Maybe I should have my own place, you know? And so we opened up. I mean, like when we opened up, I mean, it was Wychock Real Estate was me, you know, and then we hired our first agent and then our next 2 and then our next 2. And then before you know it, the first year, I think we had 8 people. And then, you know, the second year I think we sold 250 houses or something like that in our first full year. Like, you know, 2016, we added people. 2017 was like our first full year as a company. And I think we sold 260 houses. So it was just like, holy moly. And now you're in the middle of it. And now all of a sudden you went from not like just being a realtor.
Nothing to something.
Yeah. Like you're like, and that was the struggle in the beginning, the learning curve. Like, all right, well.
Did you have doubts?
Man, that's interesting. That's like a really good question. Did I have doubts? Let me think. Doubts. I don't know if I would call them doubts because I always felt like I'd make this work, you know, one way or the other, whether it was me by myself or whether it was me running a team with 1,000 agents. I feel like I think I could be pretty effective between 1 and 1,000.
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of one of those things. I feel like we've talked about this before, but like it's one of those things, and not you know, not to sound like cocky, but like you probably looked at it because I feel like I'm the same way. Like You looked at it, you're like, I know I could do that, and I can do it better than some of the people that are even some of the best.
One thing I ask myself all the time when I see someone or when I'm planning on doing something and I see someone else doing it, I say, okay, so what advantages do they have that I don't? So I'll look
So
at
you already find where you're lacking.
So I'm going like, okay, well, like, are they like, do I think they're inherently smarter than me? Like, I probably shouldn't open up an engineering firm. I don't know. I wouldn't do it, right? Because they're smarter than me. They're better. So that's not for me. But like, I'm looking at I'm thinking, like, well, are they smarter than me? I don't know. I don't think so. Are they more motivated? Are they, and you start going down the list of all these things and you're like, I think I stack up pretty okay here. Like, yeah, maybe they're better at some things, but I think I'm better at some things. So if I'm willing to get better at the things I'm not doing well, and I could make the things that I already think I'm doing better even better, why shouldn't I try?
Yeah, and I think work ethic and hustle, that far outweighs a lot because
let me I mean, that's
hustle beats talent all day long, man.
I think so. I joked around. Post pandemic, I said the best ability was availability.
Yeah,
like if you were just willing to do the work, like you were going to be fine.
Yeah, you just had as long as you just showed up,
show up, you were going to
make money.
You were going to be okay. And there are a million reasons why I'm thankful for my family, but like if it wasn't for if I wasn't married and if I didn't have kids, I'd probably be the most boring human. I'd work 100 hours a week, because I like, what's funny is, I got to real estate later in my, working life, but like, I love it. And it's probably the most fun I've ever had doing anything. So and like when I like something, like when I'm in on something, I'm in.
All in.
I'm in.
We're like the same person.
Like that's what I don't know how to like
shut it off,
not do something if I'm really into
to do it right.
Yeah, just like that becomes
it's either you love it or you hate it. And if you hate it, it's like whatever. But if it's something you love and like you're just like, man, I could do this.
It's all I want to do. It's all I want to do, right? So like I'm thankful because like my family keeps me grounded. It keeps me from like being just
lost in the sauce,
dull. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like not doing anything because I loved working. Like my wife will, she says it all the time. She's like, when I met Dave, he had 3 jobs. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, yeah, because like I liked it. Like I like working. Like I don't know what else.
Were you
to
like
say.
that as a kid?
Yeah, but it wasn't work. It was like sports. Yeah, I mean, like that's all
similar,
I wanted to
parallel.
do. Yeah, that's all I wanted to do.
You were probably good at it, and it was like you gave it.
I was good, right? I was a good athlete, and it was one of those things where it's like I was good, like. But let's be honest, like you gotta look around, right? Like know what it is.
Yeah.
Like I remember my
You're
senior
competitive.
year. Yeah, like my senior year of high school was the same year that LeVar Arrington graduated high school.
Okay.
And I remember, I went down to the state track and field championship, and he was running the 100-meter dash. He that year he finished 4th in the state in the 100-meter dash, and I remember standing at the starting line. I see this guy. First of all, it wasn't a kid; it was a guy.
Yeah.
Like you see this guy walking over, and he's
like,
significantly
Where did he
larger
come
than
from?
everybody else,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh. He must be holding the blocks for somebody, right? Because like, there's no way
I'm running against.
And then
him.
like he like takes off his like warm up gear and like and I'm like, dear Jesus, who is this guy? And then you see him run the 100-meter dash, and you're like, oh, that's a Division I athlete. Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I'm good. Next thing.
Yeah, right.
Next
you know what
thing.
I mean? Like you have to be realistic about it.
You can't live in delusion.
No, you can't. And like I remember, I was a high school quarterback, so we would go to like different camps and stuff like that, and they'd have one in Berwick. George Curry ran like a quarterback camp, and like you would go to the George Curry quarterback camp, and it would be like Ron Paulus and like Jay Kelchner, and George would say, all right, Ron, come up here, show him how to do this. We're gonna do it. And you'd see him throw the ball, and you'd see the ball come out of his hand, and you're like, yeah, no, it doesn't look like that. Like that's different. You know what I mean? Like I can throw it. I can throw it okay, and but like not like that.
Next level.
You know what I mean? Like that's different. It's just it's different. So yeah. I mean, I was committed to sports. I loved doing it. I think I was pretty good, like on like the local sport scene. But like I wasn't going to the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. So you have to find other things to like be passionate about. So for me, it just went into work. Like if there was something that I really enjoyed doing, and I always liked sales, it was something that attracted me. And, I would literally work all the time. Like I don't like, to me, it's not work. And it's so funny, like, cause we're at a time now, the thing that's really challenging, we're at a time now where everybody's looking for like a better way, a faster way. Like everybody has a secret. Like go scroll social media. It'll be someone trying to sell you a secret.
Yeah.
A better way.
Sign up for things. Like,
I'll faster way.
I'll give you the secret too.
Special program, you know? And like at the end of the day, like sometimes like the work, like working, like the secret is
just doing it.
Just doing it, you know? And it's like, oh, but like if you find this better way, it's so much more rewarding and this and that. But for me, like the work is the reward. And like, I think if you take that approach, your life gets easier. Like if if the work is the reward, it's not so bad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I think that's the way you have to look at it, because I think everybody's always like going for that end goal. Everybody's always looking at the like. Of course, there's nothing wrong with planning, setting goals, long term thinking. Like I do that right too. But at the same time, like if all you're working for is like the very 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 end, like the finish line. Like that's not the point. The point is like, and I think a lot of people, and I'm guilty of it myself too sometimes. Like I kind of forget, like I'm in the moment, and I kind of forget, like, hey, like I'm doing it. Like look around. Like I'm like I take a moment to look around. It's like shit. Like I'm already doing. Like this is it.
Yeah.
This is the dream.
Right.
Like the dream isn't like you sell it for $100 million in 20 years. So which that's maybe part of it too.
Yeah. Right.
But like right now, like this is it. Like, this is it.
Well, that's that's such a great point. Like, and that's how I feel. Like, you're, because it's so funny. My wife my wife's a teacher. I think if you ask most people in northeastern Pennsylvania, is being a teacher a good job? I think you're going to get a lot more yeses than nos. I do. I think people view that as like a really great job. The fact that I get to eat lunch at a different place every day, if that's what I want to do. That irritates my wife. She's like, I am chained to this building. I can't leave.
Yeah.
I have to eat my lunch in 37 minutes. Like, think about it. Like you ever,
you want to talk,
you want to talk about scheduling and timing? Go talk to a teacher. I have 37 minutes not 38.
Yeah, 37.
I have 37 minutes to eat my lunch, make copies, go to the bathroom, call the kids' parents who were absent, and they're like, geez, you know what I mean? We're like, what'd you do for lunch today? I'm like, I don't know, went to Panera.
Hung out for like an extra 45 minutes.
I don't know. Just, you know what I mean? And she's like, oh, you're so lucky to be able to do that. And it's true, like sometimes we, like it's little things like that you take for granted. But like, what's the trade-off for that? Well, the trade-off for that is sometimes I'm showing houses till the sun goes down. And sometimes
you're texting at 8, 9 o'clock at night.
All the time. Like that's
it's all behind the scenes.
Yeah,
work.
that's not sometimes. That part's almost all the time.
Whereas like, I'll say most people who have a 9 to 5, they just have a 9 to 5.
Yeah, and what's so funny too? Like, because it goes in reverse sometimes. Because like even me, when I'm like, look, there's sometimes that you're busier and sometimes that you're not. Sometimes you're so busy, you're like, oh my God, like, I don't know what I'm doing. And like I'll look at my buddy and I'm like, man, he leaves work and he's just done. He's just done.
Yeah,
I don't want to worry about it. Like, building doesn't matter.
Yeah. I've never even known such a thing.
Yeah,
it's like I don't even know the opposite.
So it's so funny, right? Because sometimes I think we have to be careful of that as people. Like we always look at what someone else is doing, and we're like, "Oh man, it must." I call it nice. The must be nice.
Ooh.
Oh, must be nice. Must be nice. To have this or to have that or to do this or to do that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, but the guy that's working at Home Depot at like 3:30 when he leaves, he's done. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Let somebody else water the flowers. You know what I mean? Like it's not his job anymore.
Somebody else's turn.
Yeah, and like we're like when you're in business, like like you are the turn. Like that's what I say all the time.
You're always up.
You're always up. So it's like, and the thing of it is like there's no magical work fairy. So like if you have something that you have to do and you don't do it, it literally doesn't get done. There's no one that comes in.
There's no one saying, Dave, hey, could you do this today?
Yeah, that's it. Like you missed it.
You do it or you fail.
Yeah, and you just missed it, and it's like, it's so bizarre. So I don't know. I mean, for me, I mean, I don't think I ever had I always had concerns about because look, you don't want to fail. Because at the end of the day, like that's a very realistic possibility, right? Like if you start a business, I mean, more fail than make it.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is like, I don't know. I was reading somewhere like, if you start looking at businesses and like passing down businesses, like if you go 3 generations deep, it's like 10% make it, like almost
rare.
Initially, like of the 25% that make it, the first, like 10% of them make it. So it's like, when you do the math, it's like 1 in every 50 businesses make it 3 generations. It's like it almost doesn't happen. Or somebody else is running it or whatever else it may be. So, I get that question all the time too. Like, oh, you think the kids are going to go into real estate? And I'm like, actually, no, I don't think my kids want to do this. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
I think about it like someday someone will probably be running Wychock Real Estate that won't be a Wychock. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, I'm okay with that, because for me, when I think about it all the time, like, well, wouldn't you want to pass your business down to your kids? Well, what if they don't want to do what I'm doing? Like, cause I had those jobs,
right.
Like forget like post-college, like pre-college, dude, I worked some of the worst jobs in the world.
On the Stacks will be back in a flash after a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Elevation Wellness, NEPA's premier wellness center located on Mundy Street in Wilkes-Barre. From pro athletes to busy parents, Elevation Wellness is leading the conversation when it comes to bettering your health through integrative medicine. Founded by NEPA native Louis Helmecke, Elevation Wellness offers physician-formulated and guided treatments that are administered by registered nurses. To learn more about how you can experience the benefits of IV vitamin therapy, multivitamin booster shots, non-invasive aesthetics, or peptide, NAD, red light, and compression therapy, visit elevation-wellness.com or follow them on Instagram at Elevation Wellness NEPA. All On the Stacks listeners will receive 10% off their first purchase with code STACKS at checkout. Call 570-762-9400 or visit elevation-wellness.com to book your appointment today. Elevation Wellness, taking your health to new heights.
A lot of times when people are in car accidents, kind of forget what we should do. First and foremost, call 911. Then, get out of your car before moving it and take pictures. It's so important to capture what the cars look like immediately following the accident. Finally, call your insurance carrier and make a claim.
To learn more, visit Anzalone Law offices online at anzalonelaw.com. This episode is brought to you by Loop Internet. Are you tired of buffering, lagging, and slow internet speeds? Look no further. Introducing Loop Internet, Northeastern Pennsylvania's fastest and most reliable internet service provider. With Loop Internet, you can stream, game, and work from home seamlessly. Say goodbye to interruptions and hello to lightning-fast connections. Loop Internet offers both residential and business fiber. Fast-track the future with their 10-gigabyte fiber and join the Loop Internet family today. Visit Loop Internet online at loopinternet.com or call 1-888-808-5667. Again, that's 1-888-808-5667. Or visit them online at loopinternet.com. Loop Internet, where speed meets reliability. And now we're back on the Stacks.
I worked at McDonald's, so it was my first job. It was 1994, 15 years old. I get this job working at McDonald's. I'm getting paid $4.25 an hour. And, I don't know how long I was working there, but, they said, well, we're getting raises. Oh.
Ooh, a raise.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like part-time guy. So, all right, cool. So I get my first raise. Do you know what my first raise at McDonald's was? It was 7 cents.
7.
So I went from $4.25 an hour to $4.32 an hour.
Why such an odd number 2? That bothers me.
Well, you could either get 5 cents if you sucked. They gave you 5 cents. I guess that was like the raises that you were eligible for.
Okay.
As a part-time,
7 was the
like
top
a
end.
student. No, 10.
Oh, 10.
I didn't make the top end. Yeah.
Okay.
So 5 cents if
Did
you
you get
sucked.
fired here too?
I
I got fired from Dunkin' one time.
I didn't get fired from McDonald's. I'll tell you all the jobs I got fired from.
All right, great.
So
Love this. This might be the best part of the
I'm
episode.
completely unemployable.
Dave's firing
completely
stories.
unemployable.
That's why you work for yourself.
Well, I'm telling you, man.
That's it, man.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm working at McDonald's. I get 7 cents. I go from $4.25 to $4.32. I worked 16 hours a week. So after my raise, I made exactly $1.12 a week more, which was $2.24 every pay period. That's how much I got. That's how much more I made.
Remember that exact amount?
I remember it. I'll never forget that, because I was like, and that was like the first time I, like, honestly, like as a kid, like I had a job and I'm like, this is amazing. Maybe I should just work at McDonald's. This is
This
like
is fun.
This is great.
Plus I get to eat a free cheeseburger every once in a while, right?
I work 32 hours every 2 weeks, and then they give me like $100. Like, wow. I'm like,
Rich.
Yeah, right. It was great, right?
Rich.
So then I remember that first raise. I'm like,
McDonald's rich.
yeah. So I got that first raise, and I'm like, man, I got to get 10 cents next time.
Yeah.
I gotta figure out what I'm doing to only get 7 cents, because next time if I get 10 cents, I'll be making $4.42 an hour.
Dude.
And then look out. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
look out. So I mean, like, so that was like my first job. Like, can you imagine how wild that is? Like, so like I was telling that story, and I'm like, oh my God, I sound like my grandpa telling me the story about making $5.76 a week.
Yeah.
A week. Like, my grandfather lost his middle finger on his right hand, and like went to work the next day.
Oh my God.
Because like if he didn't, like they might have
That's
just
it.
found another person to like dig. I don't know, like what the hell they did. You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
like there was no time to feel sorry for
there's
yourself.
No forgiveness.
Yeah, you were thankful to work. You were thankful to have that
It doesn't
job.
exist anymore.
Few and far between, right?
Very
so
few.
so that's the thing. So like, yeah, I mean, like I worked so many like wacky jobs until like going through like I worked at McDonald's. I worked as a windshield buffer at Diamond Auto Glass. That was a horrible job, but it was it was wild, you know, like
A windshield buffer.
yeah, like so like a windshield, like they'd have, and you literally like they had like a hand buffer, and you would like buff a scratch, like take it
like this.
like 45 minutes later, like the
Wax
scratch would be
on,
gone.
yeah.
Yeah, like that's what it was like, you know. But it was like it was a power tool, which I probably should not have been operating. But
probably illegal, but
probably So that was it. So I was a windshield buffer. I stocked shelves in a pet store. Got fired from that one. I did. That was the first time. I'll tell you what, that job was like the first time I actually stood up for myself and felt really good about it in like a work setting. Because at McDonald's I got a 7-cent raise. I should have went in and like, you know, I don't know, like threw the fry grease on the ground, but I was like, cool, 7 cents, great, I'll take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't know any better. But like that pet store was the first time I actually stuck up for myself in a work environment, and I was like, rock and roll. And then I got fired the next day. But I did.
I love it.
True story, right? So like, I was stocking the shelf. Like I don't know, I was in high school. I was stocking the shelves incorrectly. You know, like there's a certain way to like. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like no offense, but it's dog food. Like I've seen what my dog eats.
Yeah, like chill out.
We don't have to get too, you know. But anyway, I was doing it wrong, right?
Yeah.
But like, so my boss at the time, who was probably like 24, drove like an IROC idiot, you know, like comes out and like screams at me, like in front of like people, like belittling me, you know, like in front of customers, which even as a high school kid, I'm like, well, that's not right.
Yeah, that's not cool.
So like, you know, I went back and I said, hey, you know, like if you ever do that again, I'll strangle you. So don't ever do that again. And then, you know, I went home and then they fired me. They told me not to come back.
That was it. Went home and you're fired.
But like, I felt so good at that moment.
Yeah,
I was
good.
like, oh,
Good.
that was awesome. I told him, I'm not going to take his crap.
Yeah.
And then they said, just don't come back into work ever again.
Great.
So I didn't. Yeah. So
Screw the dog food.
yeah. So I got fired from that. I was working as a telemarketer. I got fired from telemarketing. So my job as a telemarketer, they called us grave diggers. Like, so that gives you an idea of how bad the job was.
Yeah, sounds great.
But yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
Are they hiring?
yeah. So you remember back in the day, like if you, and it might still happen, like if you, they were selling timeshares. And my job was to get people to show up to the timeshare.
Yep, show up to the thing.
And then like if they showed up to the 90-minute presentation, because they showed up, they gave them a VCR. Like, I don't know, it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Nowadays you get a free Ruth's Chris lunch.
Right.
Dinner.
Like whatever it
You get
was,
steak
right?
dinner,
So that's what it was, you know? And like, I was so naive and stupid because I was, at this time, I was maybe like a high school senior, like college. I didn't even know how things worked. But I didn't realize that when I was on the phone, that like my manager could be in their office listening to my conversation. You know what I mean? So I was probably
I see where this is
So
going.
I was like, listen, man, you definitely don't want to buy a timeshare in Mountain Laurel in the Poconos. You do not want to do that. But here's what you're going to do. You're going to go and just 90 minutes, gut it up, don't say anything, free VCR. What do you say? Because
I'll take it. Yeah.
Here's the thing, like you got paid, like there was like a I don't know what it was, 8 or 9.
Paid for them showing up.
If they showed up, they gave you extra money. So I'm like, so they just have to show up? Yeah, just show
Perfect.
up. I'm like,
go get a VCR.
we can do this. I'm like, dude, do it. Go get the VCR. do not. If you don't believe, I'm a kid, but I'm telling you now, do not buy a timeshare.
Like you knew better.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a terrible idea.
But a great
I'm telling
VCR.
You now. Yeah, but
it's worth your time.
But go get the VCR. Well, apparently people were listening and they're like, oh, hey, Dave.
You can't do that.
That's not allowed. Yeah. You can't actually tell people not to buy what we're trying to get them to buy.
Yeah.
So they fired me from that one.
Yeah. Makes
so,
sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I did. Now looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, I was probably a bad employee. So I got fired from that. I worked in a bingo hall. I'm not even sure if this was legal. So like, it's no longer around. So I feel like I could tell this story now. I worked at a bingo hall that was at the old West Side Mall, like before they made it nice, or like before they made it what it is now.
Like
it's a kind of right. So it was in the West Side Mall, and it was basically a bunch of like chain smoking women, senior citizens mostly. I'm shocked they made it that far. I mean, you know what? They were probably 40, you know what I mean? But I thought that, they were 90. Right. You know what I mean? So like, but they would go and they would play bingo, and it was like a cash bingo hall, which I'm not sure how that possibly could have been legal. You know what I mean? But like, I would basically be the bingo caller calling out the numbers, and you would just like harass the old women. You'd be like, hey, you can't have a lucky trinket. Those aren't allowed here. And they're like, F you, you know, like whatever, old lady. You know what I mean?
Smoking their cigarettes.
Smoking cigarettes constantly. So like you'd walk out of there and like you'd smell like you worked at like.
Feel like you died.
Oh, it's brutal. Yeah. So I got fired from that one. I think I got a little too aggressive with the insults of the chain smoking women.
Yeah.
But yeah, they let me go from there. I mean, there's been a lot, but I'll tell you what. You know what's funny? Like you work a bunch of those terrible jobs, and now that I'm like an adult, I look back and I'm like, man, I'm so lucky I had those jobs.
Yeah, grateful. You know what you don't ever want to do.
Yeah, like I knew what it was like to have for life to suck. Like my whole thing was like, yeah, I'm a kid, I don't care, right? Like I don't care. But like, there's people that do those types of jobs every day.
Like as like their real
that's
full-time
their job.
That's all they got.
Can you imagine, right?
No.
So like, I felt lucky to have those jobs when I had them. I feel like I learned a lot of valuable lessons. And like, even though I yelled at my boss who told me I was stocking dog food the wrong way, you know what? He probably hated his job too. Because at that job, I think I was making $5.15 an hour, but he was the manager, probably making $9. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's like, so he had to deal with a bunch of idiot high school kids that like didn't care about stocking dog food. You know what I mean? So like, so you know, who had it better? I guess, you know. But it's because I had those really bad jobs that I can appreciate just how good real estate is. It's actually one of my pet peeves. Like when I see. I tell my realtors like on my team, I'm like, don't ever do this. Like if you can't, you can't look, they're independent contractors. So you can't tell people what they can post and what they can't post. I mean, they could do whatever they want, you know, but I tell them like, look, this is a really bad look to do this.
Yeah.
So like, is there anything worse than a realtor who complains about how hard their job is on social media? They're like, I had the worst day today. I worked so long. I had to send text messages and write emails,
talk to.
And I went to a house and the key didn't work, and I'm like, do you know what other people do?
Yeah.
And I get it. Like there's like, hey, I have bad days in this business.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we all do.
But you know what I don't do? I don't talk about them on
all the
social
time,
media.
Yeah, and all the time.
Like I see people like, I had an appointment and the person didn't show up, and I just complain. And I'm like,
yeah,
like
and nobody wants to work with that. Nobody wants to work with that type of complainer.
No,
nobody likes a complainer.
Like I had somebody like a couple weeks ago, I had someone call me and say, hey Dave, I can't make it to the appointment today. And I'm like, okay. I was in the driveway.
Yeah. Like you were there.
I was there.
Yep.
And they're like, can't make it. And I'm like, all right, no problem. We'll reschedule. You know, no big deal.
Yep.
Piece of cake, right?
Yep.
But like, whenever I see people complain about like real estate, I'm like, you must not know what other people do.
Yeah.
Like I had the worst jobs. Like there are people out there, like, you know, like when you lose your power during like an ice storm and then it comes back on.
Yeah, and we're mad for the hour that.
Yeah, but someone did that. Like they didn't just magically get it. Like there's somebody in a bucket truck
do that,
getting hit in the face with like falling ice
and water.
That's
with electrical stuff that doesn't mix. Right. You know, so
like restore. Like there's people that do that job, and you're telling me how hard your like.
Yeah.
Like people like there's
no
so
perspective.
many. Yeah, like there's so many people out there that work really hard in their jobs, like really hard.
Yeah.
Like that is one thing that I think Northeastern Pennsylvania has such an advantage over so many other regions in this country, is that we have a lot of really hard workers here.
We do.
People that will do, in my opinion, really,
anything.
Like
literally
like
anything.
Hard stuff. You
I've
know
seen,
what I mean?
I've
And
seen
they'll
people
just
do
it.
crazy shit.
And they will do it.
For next to nothing.
Yeah, they'll just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
Like serious life-threatening stuff.
I'm telling you. Like have you have you ever seen anybody pave a road on the highway? They're like, you know, operating a jackhammer while people texting while driving are going by them at 72 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like, they're like, but you don't understand. Someone didn't respond to the email I sent.
my
I'm
text.
like, no, I totally get it. I'm like, I don't think you get it. You know what I mean? Like no one wants to work with somebody like that. Like, don't be putting negative stuff out there.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
That's
like, because
wild.
you know, look, I mean, there's days that aren't the best, but
Sure.
man, the good days outweigh the bad. And like, if
100%.
things don't go perfect in your life every day, like, oh, okay, welcome to the world, man. You know what I mean? Like, nobody has a life like that. Like, learn from it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what else to say, but that to me is something that I really can't stand when I see people do that, when they complain about how hard they're, you know, it's just, and not forget real estate, just like in general. Like, I don't even like I don't even associate with those types of people.
Yeah, in general.
Like in general, just like like I call them like time and energy vampires.
They're just they suck, just soul sucking.
Literally,
soul
just
sucking.
just dragging you down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes you want to come home.
I unfollow all of them.
Yeah, like you can't like you literally like, because you know what happens is like they literally occupy your headspace.
Yeah.
And then like you find yourself in that same trap, you know, where they're like someone who's constantly complaining. You're like, yeah, well, you know, my job kind of it's hard sometimes too. And,
Yeah,
it does kind of suck.
You feed into it. You feed into it, and then
it's just,
and you become that guy.
Yeah, and which is like I definitely don't want to do that because I'm so appreciative for like the opportunities that I have. Like I live a much better life than, to be honest with you, I probably even thought I could because of real estate. So are there days that are tough? Yeah, of course, but I'm not going to complain about it. Like I'm very in tune with how fortunate I am to be where I am, considering, you know, what I even thought my opportunities were. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? Like I never thought this was possible.
Like you're a lot further along than you ever thought you would be.
And it's so funny, like when you're a kid and you think about things, right? So like my sisters are 10 and 13 years older than me. So my youngest sister, the one who's 10 years older than me, she went to college. She got a job as a speech pathologist. She was going to be a teacher in Montrose, Pennsylvania. So, but we lived in Wilkes-Barre, you know what I mean? So she gets hired to be a teacher right out of college. She's 22 years old. I'm 12. And I grew up in Parsons. So like you could, like from my house, like you could see Motor World. Like when the leaves fell off the trees, you could see it.
It was visible.
Yeah, right. So like I remember, you know, my sister Hillary, she got her first job, and that summer, like before she went to school to teach, she pulls into the driveway and she had a new car. And I was like, what is that? You know, I just bought this car. And I'm like, how? She goes, well, I need a car if I'm going to be driving that far. So I got to buy something that's like, you know, small car, good on gas. And like, this one. But I was like, is it brand new? She goes, yeah, I just got it. And I'm like, oh my God, how much was it? And it was a Hyundai Accent. She goes, $8,000.
You're like, what?
And I'm like, you have $8,000? She goes, no, I don't have $8,000. I said, well, how did you buy the car? She goes, well, I got to pay payments. And I'm like, I was 12. Like at that point in time, I didn't even realize that people bought cars. I didn't know you could. I didn't know. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm like, oh, like, well, how much are you paying? Like, she goes, I got to pay $180 a month. And then I'm like, wait, you have $180 a month that you can pay? Like, I thought my sister was rich.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because she bought a new car. And it was just like, I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it was just like this unattainable thing. You know what I mean? Because like, we didn't, it's weird, man. Like when I look back at like growing up as a kid, it's like, you know, like I don't think we did without, but we didn't have extra. Like we didn't have extra anything. You know what I mean? Like never really went on vacation, never really did like that thing. Like we had enough to do what we did and that was it. But like, I mean, like, you know, we certainly didn't have like a privileged upbringing or anything like that. Like we worked hard for everything we had. I mean, like, you know, my dad's 66, still works. You know what I mean? Like my mom worked. Like, you know, like I'm surrounded by workers. Like everybody worked. And then like, you know, so for me to have my own business and to have the opportunities that I have, I'm appreciative of it because like I know what it's like to just, you know, have just enough to get by. And like, you know, not that we're, you know, I'm not smoking hundreds here. I'm not the Vanderbilts, you know what I mean? Like I'm not doing that type of thing, but like I'm doing better than most. And I'm completely and totally fully aware of that. And I appreciate that. And, you know, I try to pay that forward by trying to help my agents build great careers. I think I pay pretty well, and I've got agents that are doing a lot of great things. A lot of the people that work for me, I get people that come to me, they're renting apartments, and 5 years later they own a home, they own a rental property. Like, I love it. I love that part of it.
Yeah.
I love helping people build careers and like build lives. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to my agents all the time about like, starting a 401k, starting a 529 if you have kids, doing these types of things, like laying the foundation, buying rental properties. Like, we talk about that a lot. Like sometimes when we talk, it's not necessarily sales training or anything else like that. It's just like, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, it's just helpful conversation. It's just a good conversation.
Yeah, like how are you doing
as a person?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I think that's really important to do. I'm so thankful to be in a position where I feel like I'm able to help my clients, obviously, but like the people that I work with, because like I said, there's a realtor behind every tree. Well, that's almost the same for real estate companies. Like if someone comes to work at Wychock Real Estate, like think of the other, like they have a lot of other places.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And part of the reason I think they come on board with me is they believe in what we're trying to do. They feel like they fit, like it's a good match, and we have similar objectives for how we want to treat this business and where we want it to go. And you build a team, and it's a great feeling, and I'm very aware that they do have options. They could be someplace else, and they're choosing to be there.
Yeah.
Because like if somebody, like real estate's wild. Like if somebody wants to leave, they just come in and say, I'm leaving.
That's it, I'm done.
They can literally go next door, and 4 minutes later they're licensed
somewhere
there.
else. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
There's no like, it's not complicated.
Yeah, it's not like they have to go through a huge it's not getting hired at the pharmaceutical company.
No. It's like, hey, I'm leaving. I'm going someplace else.
Hey, can I work here?
And then they go there, they log into the computer, and 30 seconds later they're employed there.
There we go.
So I mean, like, so the fact that you have people that
you can lose it gone.
Right, but they're still there. They believe in what you're trying to do. They want to work together. They want to build something as a team. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You got to be appreciative of that.
You are a self-made savage.
Oh man,
bro.
I hope
you are a self-made savage. I'm going to gift you one of these, not this one.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I just have this one here just for shits and giggles. But
no, that's good stuff.
To show it off, we got the stack of money.
Yeah, I know. Right now, that would be nickels.
I'm really butchering this. What the hell's wrong with me? For sale on stacks.com/merch. There's my shameless plug.
I like that.
But you get one for free.
Oh, hey, there you go.
That was a self-made savage story.
It's good to know people. You know. Well, it's one of those things. Like I just I don't know, man. You got to be mindful of that. And I'll tell you, one more quick story about like my upbringing. My dad's always been a hard worker. Always. You know what I mean? Like for whatever reason, like working hard was never a problem for him. Like growing up all through school, I mean, he worked 50 hours a week, like 9-hour days and then 5 more hours on Saturday. Like that was 50 hours a week. From like, I thought that's what people worked. You know what I mean? Like, right. Yeah. So, I mean, like he's always just been like someone that's been like a relentlessly hard worker. But man, he like, I'm not sure if he's ever really had a boss that he really loved. You know what I mean? So he'd come home and he'd be like angry because like he got into an argument with his boss or whatever. And like, even as like a little kid, I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you felt it.
I did. I did. Because look, you come home and be aggravated from work. You know what I mean? Because like, right. And it permeates through the family. You know what I mean? Like even as a little kid, I'm like, oh Jesus. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to say, I didn't want to make him more angry. You know?
You're like, you're over here like, oh, what do I do? What do I do?
You know what I mean? And it's like, and I could see why, because like you're busting your butt, you're doing what you can, and like you feel like you're not appreciated, and it sucks, right?
Yep.
So like, I always thought, and I never, what's funny, like you said, like I never thought Wychock Real Estate would ever be a thing ever, and here we are. But like, I always thought, man, if I ever work someplace where like, not even like that I'd own a place, but like if I ever work someplace where like I'm a supervisor, or if like I'm a manager somewhere, I gotta treat my people better, like, right? Because like you just gotta be nicer, because like like those people that work for you, like they go home to a husband or a wife or a family or a pet. You know what I mean? And like, you want to, like, there's so many, like, it's easy to get down on yourself, right? And there's so many things that are complicated in life right now. You want to try, you got to make an effort to be a positive influence on as many people as you can, and I would like to think, because I don't know, I mean, like, I don't think I'll ever be, like, I'm not going to have an Elon Musk lifestyle here, right? So eventually I'm going to, I want to do well, and I'm doing okay. But like, my legacy is going to be hopefully that when I'm done, when I retire, and I will, like most realtors don't retire. They just like fade into irrelevance eventually. You know what I mean? Just kind of like fizzle out.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. Like when it's
hard stop.
Like when it's like when I decide like I'm not doing this anymore, then I'm done. Then I'm moving to the warm weather, and I'm buying dumb shorts, and I'm drinking tropical drinks, and I don't want to be.
You're gonna wear your self-made Savage.
That's it. That's all I'm gonna do.
Not in the summer though.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
I have T-shirts too.
There you go. I'll cut the I'll cut the sleeves off.
Yeah. I'll make you a tank top. I'll make you a tank
beautiful
and swim trunks.
I'm in. You know what I mean? Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So
that'll be your retirement gift.
There you go. Man, well, better than nothing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where like, I just think my legacy is going to be like I treated people.
You did good things.
I cared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'd like people to look back and be like, yeah, when I worked there, like it was good. You know what I mean? Or like, he helped me get to where I was trying to go or what I was trying to do or whatever. Like that's going to be enough. Like for me,
and that's
honestly,
what really matters, man.
Yeah, man. Cause I'm 45, right? So like I have agents that are 20 years younger than me, more than 20 years younger than me. So it's like, those are the ones where you're like, listen, like you're in a good spot here. Like you have it. Like if you're in a career where you're in your early 20s and you're having a lot of success, you've cracked the code. Like you're going to have the opportunity to do a lot of really good things.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to live a good life. You're going to be able to plan for retirement. You're going to be able to live a really, like if you're in your early 20s and you're successful, I mean, the sky's the limit to what you could do. Maybe retire early. You know what I mean? Anything. So I try to talk, especially to the youngest ones, and be like, look, take advantage of this. Like go get it. Because you know what's funny? Like I spent my 20s in like a idiot haze for the most part. Like I didn't know what
a lot of us did.
I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't take anything anywhere remotely close to serious as I should have. You know what I mean? And it's just like. And I just kind of like, and it was like normal, right? It was like almost like you got a free pass. I just a young kid, didn't know what he's doing, right?
Yep.
But I look back at it now and I'm like, man, I love working. Like if I picked the hustle at 18 and just dedicated myself to it,
you'd be 20 years ahead.
Jowser, man. Like
I know, I say it all the time.
Yeah,
same thing.
You'd be so much further down the road. And everybody that I know that have success in real estate, they all say the same thing. Oh, I wish I got to this sooner.
Yeah.
So if you're fortunate enough, like if you're a young realtor out there and you're making it right now,
or any industry,
like just appreciate how lucky you are to have something that you're doing great at an early age, because
with cool people around you,
because it's gonna
boss.
Listen, it's gonna change your entire future,
change your entire life.
It is
it's life changing. Literally is life changing.
It is.
A lot of people don't realize that, man.
So I try to really talk to the youngest agents and say, look, be where you are, appreciate where you are, understand what you have, and like, it's so like people are like, what are you working for? You're working again? Oh, you work so hard. Yeah. Okay, good. Because when you're 45 and you have two 12-year-olds and they're doing dance competitions and karate competitions and modeling and pageants and golf and all that, like you're going to want that. You're going to need time then. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't need as much time when you're 22, but you're going to need it when you're 45 and you got all that stuff going on.
Exactly.
So if you're working really, really hard when you're young and you're setting good.
Yeah.
Be thankful that you're able to do it.
Yeah, physically and mentally.
Yeah. Because
take advantage of it.
Yeah, because look, you slow down. Like I mean, I'm at the age now where I'm
start to delegate
I'm not
more,
the
right?
well, like I'm not the old guy, but like I'm there. I'm getting there.
You have experience, Dave.
Yeah, like I've slowed down though. Like there are things. Like,
speaking of experience, and all the stuff that you're talking about,
Okay.
where are we gonna you're gonna wrap this into something else? Or I'm gonna let you.
I'm really excited about this, right? Because
it's kind of in the works. So like
it is. So like one thing about me, I'm always looking to do something else too. You know what I mean? Like we have Wychock Real Estate. We have the title company that I'm a part of. We have the real estate school that I started last year, but we talked about this briefly, and we hear it all the time. We hear people say like, oh, wouldn't it have been cool if we bought like Amazon stock like 25 years ago? What if we bought Apple stock in the 90s? Oh man, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh man,
look where we'd be.
Right. And everybody, so like, I think to myself, like 25 years from now or 30 years from now, people are going to be talking about, hey, wouldn't it have been cool if we did this then? And in my opinion, I think the Golden Gate or the golden goose is content creation. I really do. Like, I think if you can create quality content, it's really going to be the thing that when you look back, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20, 30, however many years in the future you're going to look back and you're going to be like, man, I wish I would have started creating some content.
Signed up with Bill.
Absolutely. Right. So that's exactly what I did. Right. So,
you're a smart guy.
So
Dave.
I'll tell you what, yeah, I'm glad you feel
I never
that
said
way.
you were stupid, you know?
You might be one of the few people.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's true.
I won't fire you either.
I appreciate that.
Well, not yet. I don't know.
Well,
you might fire me.
I'm going to tell you right now, you wouldn't be the first person.
Yes,
so,
that's right. Yeah.
It wouldn't be funny if some of those people are listening. They're probably like, screw that guy.
Yeah.
But it's funny. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing, I think, a big project. And we talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost shocking that no one in northeastern Pennsylvania is actually doing this.
Yeah, like actually doing it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, people dabble, and I
try
look,
a little
look,
bit.
I did too, right? Like, I put some videos out there and things
Yeah.
like that. But what we're going to do is going to be a
Game changer.
I think so. I think it's going to be so much different and
It
so
is.
much.
I've been on this. I know you already know this because we
Yeah.
already talked about this, right? It's already happening, right?
Yeah.
But I've been on people for the longest time, and any industry, but like real estate specific, man, the opportunity
Yeah.
for somebody to totally freaking capitalize and crush it
Yeah.
on the dopest content that provides the most value.
Well, that's
it's there and nobody's taking it, but you're about to.
That's what we're about to do, right? So I mean, we're looking at this, and it's going to be, it'll be a YouTube channel, it'll be a podcast, it's going to be short videos and stuff like that. And I was doing the math the other day, and I was talking to Kathy about it, and I said, like, you realize, like, in a year, it's going to be 50 podcasts, it's going to be 50 YouTube episodes, it's going to be, if we do a short video a day, it's going to be 350 short videos out there. So like over the course of a year, you're talking like, I'm going to have 400 videos out there. I'm going to have 50 podcasts out there, and we're going to be able to put them out on all different types of social media and things like that. And what's interesting is, like, when we look at real estate and we look at the people who are because there are people having success in this in other areas, just not here. But the people who really have jumped into this, they're in like big, major, primary markets, secondary markets. You're seeing people like, doing it in New York, LA, Miami, Charlotte, Nashville, right? And the top realtors there, and they've all got YouTube channels and things like that. And it's like, when you hear advice, they're like, well, start a YouTube channel. Call it Moving to Orlando, Moving to Charlotte. Yeah, 1,000 people a week move there. So like you can do that. You can have a channel that talks about, living in Phoenix, right? But like, no one's Googling. I think a very small amount of people probably Googling moving to Larksville, right?
Yeah.
Like moving to Jenkins Township.
Yeah.
So like, while I think having a podcast, having YouTube content, creating high quality content creation, you have to look at it differently in a market like we have here in northeastern Pennsylvania. We're a small metro area. When you look at the Wilkes-Barre Scranton metro, it's like 500,000 people. And I think you need to create content, but we need to talk about, success in this type of market, because it's different from big markets. If you work in a market that's growing by 1,000 people a week, I mean,
It's a whole different game.
You can literally just work on acquiring new business and you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
But I think in northeastern Pennsylvania, I call it like the 3 R's, right? Like everything that you do should be building your reputation, it should be building relationships, and it should be leading to referrals. Like, and that's not just real estate specific. That's every type of business, and it can work in big markets too, but it's almost, in my opinion, the only real path you have to true success is if you run a business where you are building relationships, improving and maintaining a great reputation, and you're using that to lead to referrals. You need those three things to be successful in a place like northeastern Pennsylvania. And there's a lot of towns just like northeastern Pennsylvania where if you apply those principles, you'll do really well.
You'll win.
And that's so true.
There's a lot of Wilkes-Barre Scranton lookalikes across this whole country.
Everywhere. And that's what's so funny. Like,
winning in a small town.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it is, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really what it is, because, and again, like I said, it's very prevalent in real estate, but it's all kinds of businesses, like think of, and the other thing is this too. Maybe I should add a fourth R, reciprocation, right? So like you got to look at that too. Like, and a guy that I'm friends with, he posted something like that on Facebook just recently. I was reading it actually, and it's so true. Like if you run a business and you send business to someone else, you kind of have to expect them to do the same. You have to, right? Or like find somebody else to send your business to, right? Yeah. So like if somebody, and I talk about this all the time, in real estate, like you don't have to know how to do everything, but you better know someone that does everything.
Exactly.
Right? So like if someone says to me, hey, I want to get my car detailed, I know where I'm sending them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. I send it every time, same person. Hey, where'd you get your hair cut? Oh, here. Where does your wife get her hair done? Oh, she gets it there. Right. So like, life insurance, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, obviously, all these different things that like you're referring people out to. And I think a lot of realtors think about that. They think like, well, I have to know people that are pertinent to the real estate business. I should know a plumber. I should know an electrician. I should know a remodeler. I should know a handyman. But it's everything else, right? Because like, what if someone is moving here from another area and it's a husband and a wife, and the husband says, hey, where's a good barbershop? And the wife says, where can I get my hair done? Like, so it's not just real estate, it's business in general. It's everything.
It's your whole life. It's 360.
It's everything.
It's 360.
It is. And in northeastern Pennsylvania, you always have to be networking. You always have to be building relationships, talking to new people.
Always moving.
And it's so silly because it sounds like it's pretty, like, it sounds easy. But for a lot of people, it's not.
Right.
And the thing of it is, too, it's just like anything else. The hardest part of that sometimes is just starting it. It's just starting. Like, you'd be surprised. And like, I actually tell people this all the time. Like, when you go to a networking event, because they're everywhere, right? There's networking events everywhere.
I used to run one for years.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So like, you go to these networking events, and I tell people, when you go to a networking event and you meet someone, instead of telling them who you are and what you do, ask them, hey, what's your name? So-and-so. What do you do? This is what I do. The next thing out of your mouth should be, how can I help you do better at your job?
Dude, you nailed it, man.
And people are like you're not like, don't be in a rush.
Yeah, don't be. You show up. Hey, Dave, I sell real estate. You want to sell your house?
Here's my card. If you know anybody, call me.
What the fuck? You don't do that.
No, and we see it all. I call them.
That's really bad networking.
I call them the better than nothing posts. Like they're because like, look, there are a lot of secret agents out there too that you don't even know sell real estate. So there's better than nothing posts where like people are like, hey, if you know anybody looking to buy or sell, have them call me. I'm like, all right, well, hey, look, they posted. It's better than nothing.
Give him not an A, but A for effort, but not an A.
Right, yeah. Like, all right, well, at least you told people
something.
You sold something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it has to be more than that, right?
Yeah.
So my
value.
thing is, value. Absolutely. And when you're in an event where people are like trying to, we're all there for the same reasons, first of all, right? Like if you go to a networking event, you're not bored. There's a million things you can do besides that. You know what I mean? But like, you go there, so you want to talk about your business. But instead of being in such a hurry to tell people what you do, why don't you ask, hey, what do you do? Oh, I groom dogs. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Oh, I have a dog.
How can I help you in your dog grooming business?
Yeah.
Well, what do you do? I sell real estate. Oh, well, I mean, if someone moves to the area and they have a pet, send them. You know what? I could do that for you. That's great. Do you have a few business cards?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, same thing though. If you know anybody looking to buy or sell, could you send them my way, right? So it's like, sometimes you just have to ask, like, if you want to get to where you're trying to go,
you got to help somebody else first.
Help somebody else first.
It's the only way. It's the only way.
And if you do that, I think you'd be surprised with how much better those experiences are. And you know what's funny too? Like when I was younger all the time, like different things concerned me as opposed to now. Like now, like if people think that, like, I've been around long enough where people have their opinions of me one way or the other at this point, so I kind of let them go. But when I was young, it mattered so much for me to tell everybody like why I'm good at what I do and whatever else, and I'd want to talk about it all the time. You know what I realized? Like you'd be surprised. Like sometimes people will be like, just listen to people talk, and then have someone go up and be like, hey, what'd you think of that guy? Oh, he's awesome. I didn't say 8 words.
Yeah.
I just listened to them tell their story.
You'd be surprised at how far it goes. All you do is just say, hey, how you doing today?
Yeah, and what's going on? And just listen.
Yeah. Just ask a question.
Yeah, just listen, ask a question, be genuinely interested. Hey, what do you do? This is what I do. How can I help you in your business?
I built this whole thing around that.
You know, and you're,
around that concept.
Yeah, right. Like
when you think about it, this podcast, this whole business
exposure, right?
was literally built around just being genuinely interested in our people.
Yep.
And unintentionally built this.
Yeah.
You know,
Isn't that wild?
it's like literally the same concept.
And that's it. Like if you can do that, you'll succeed really in any industry.
Yeah.
But especially real estate. People will be like, wow, that guy's great. Like I want to work with that.
Yeah,
You know what I
he's
mean? Like
cool.
what a nice guy. What a cool guy. Like yeah.
Why would you not?
You know, and
why would you not?
And then it just goes from there, you know? And like those are like the little things though that like you gotta like you can't walk into those events without a plan. So you have to know, this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to ask 5 people what they do.
Yeah. You got to put effort in. That's why I always tell everybody, like, everybody's always like, oh, like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, oh, it's a waste of time. Like, well, you get what you put into it. You get out what you put into it.
Yeah. Like you're definitely right. Like if you go there and stand by the only person in the room that you know and you only talk to them and then you leave in 2 hours, you're right.
Yeah. Nothing.
Like could have stayed at home.
Yeah. Should have stayed at home.
Probably.
Actually,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But like you're supposed to like walk around.
Yeah.
Talk to people, say hi to people, ask them what they do. Like, you know, and it's so funny. Like maybe you don't have to do that in a market where people are moving to every day. Maybe you could just catch new business coming through and you could probably build a really successful business that way. But in Northeastern Pennsylvania, like if you're just constantly on the acquisition side, you'll never win.
Yeah. You can't always take.
Yeah. It's not going to happen. You know,
Did you ever read The Go-Giver?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just thought of that.
Absolutely, right?
Read that book if you haven't. The Go-Giver.
For sure, you know, and it's just one of those things. Like if you don't build those types of relationships here, you're not going to have long-term viability.
No.
A trap a lot of new realtors fall into, because when you're new in the business, you tend, not always, but you tend to work with more buyers, and then what happens? You work with a lot of buyers, you get good at it, and then you work with a seller. And if it doesn't go perfect, you're like, oh man, I don't really like working with sellers. That's not, but that's what you have to, right? So like, you know, and people will ask me sometimes, well, how do I go from being a buyer's agent to a listing agent? And I'm like, oh, cool. Like sell a ton of houses and then wait about 5 years. Because then when those people start to sell, if you did a good job and you stayed in contact with them, right? Maybe they come back to you. Yeah. And that's it. Like, if you're just constantly chasing one side, it's almost impossible to build anything long-term and sustainable.
It is.
But if you get that repeat business coming back, I mean, real estate's one of those things. The longer you're in it, if you do it the right way, it should get a little bit easier and a little bit more lucrative every year. A lot of businesses aren't like that. You know what I mean? But real estate is. Like you can build a sustainable, reliable business if you do the things that you need to do to get there. So ideally, you know, you like to be someplace that helps you along with that.
Yeah.
But it's not a magic. It's not listen to this seminar.
Yeah.
It's not like buy this magic pill. One cool story, maybe the last story. I don't know. You tell me. But
might be.
So I worked in pharma. And one way that you can get fired in pharma, they eliminate your position, right?
That is the easiest way.
Yeah, that out.
Fast track.
There's another way two other ways. One, lose a sample. You lose a sample, you're fired.
Done.
Right? Because like if a little kid picks up a sample and they eat it, and
they're done. Crushed.
Bad, right? So don't lose those.
Yeah, don't do
Got to
that.
keep track of the samples.
Yeah.
And the other way, I think, like sharing company information. So like I work at company A, my buddy works at company B. He says, hey, what do you guys have going at company A? And I send them an email. Hey, we're working on this. Fired.
Done.
They are like so protective. Like they would send you detail pieces on like how to talk about your product. And then when they would send you a new one, they'd be like, you need to destroy it. Send it back, burn it.
Yeah.
Like you had to get rid, like
nuke it.
Like if
basically.
you gave any of your company's information to somebody else, they'd fire you.
Proprietary.
Fired.
Yeah.
Like gone. So then now I get into flip that. Now I get into real estate, right? And there's this thing in Atlantic City every year. It's called Triple Play. It's Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey. It's all the realtors. They go down to Atlantic City in the winter. Nobody's there, so they get hotel rooms. Right? So you go there, and the first day I'm there at this thing, I want to learn, right? I want to learn how to be better at my job, right? So I go down to Triple Play, and there's a woman, and she's talking. She's from Atlanta. She's still in real estate. I actually follow her on a lot of social media stuff. Great agent, right? So she's talking about all the things that she did to be successful. So here she is. It's the first like event or whatever. So there's honestly probably a couple thousand people in the room. She stands in front of this group of people. She's like up on like an elevated stage. She's got like a projector with a slideshow. And she goes, I'm going to tell you guys everything that I do to get to where I'm going. And before I started doing these things, this is what I was selling. But now I do these things, and now my business went from here to here. And it was like this huge increase in business. So she stands up there with, 60 slides, and she goes through step by step. This is how I prospect for new business. This is how I try to find buyers. This is how I try to find sellers. This is what I do for holidays. This is what I do daily. This is what I do weekly. This is what I do monthly. This is what I do in the winter, in the spring, in the summer, in the fall. She goes through this entire, like a 2-hour presentation on everything.
Gave it all away.
Everything, right? And like I'm sitting in the crowd, like coming from pharma, where like if you can't share a paper clip,
so you're
they'll
like, you're
fire
over
you.
here like
Trying to write stuff
fast as
down. Like
possible.
I literally can't write fast enough. I'm like, my hands cramping up. You know what I mean? I'm like trying to get as much information as I can. Trying to see the slides. I'm like squinting. You know what I mean? Trying to get like 3/4 of the way through. She goes, look. She goes, I see some of you guys trying to write notes out there, and that's great. But she goes, look, you don't have to write anything down. She goes, like if you want this, like just come see me when we're done here and give me your email. I'll send you this slide deck.
And you're like, wait, what?
Like
What?
oh, this is impossible. How? Why? You know, like impossible. You know, so now I'm like, first of all, I'm blown away. Then I'm totally intrigued. So I'm like, I got to talk to this lady. You know, I got to go talk to her. So I said, you know, like, so people are writing down their emails and stuff like that, and she has like a people traveling with her, like her AV, and they're getting people's information. So, but I really wanted to talk to her. I said, look, if you don't mind me asking, I said, like, you're not like nervous, like you're not concerned, like you've obviously become very successful, right? You've achieved a high, like you're not in the crowd, you're presenting like
the crowd,
like you made it. Good, right. Congratulations,
yes.
Right? But like you're literally telling everybody
How to do it.
How to do it. Like you're not like a little like you're not like that's not a problem for you. Like what are your thoughts on that? You know? And she goes, well, look, she goes, I don't care at all. She's like, I do this all over, by the way. Like, this isn't the only place I come and tell people what to. I'm like, what? So you're just like, yeah, tell
just
people
go give
what
it all
I
away.
Yeah, right. And I'm like, well, why? She goes, even though I know this works, but I know how much work is involved in this, and I know factually that 99% of the people that just listen to me say, like, this is how I went from here to here, and this is why I'm so successful, and these are all the things that I do to get there. She goes, I know 99% of the people won't do anything about it. And that to me was like one of the loudest statements anyone has ever said to me, to this day still, in real estate. I'm like, wow. Like that was just like a heavy, like I don't know if she realized like how impactful that one sentence to me was. Like, so people just aren't going to do it. Like it's wild. Like
They're just not going to put in the work.
Just not going to put in the work.
Even when you hand it to them.
Yeah. And what's interesting to me is, like I said, so many people look for like well, what's the easiest way to get from point A to point B? How do I get here? Like buy my class, buy my this, do this, follow this. I have a secret way. If you are interested in hearing the secret, subscribe and then I'll send you. And everybody's trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just give it away.
Right. And like,
because most people aren't going to take it and do it anyway.
They're not going to do it. They're not going to.
And everybody's always worried too about their competitors. Everybody's like, "Oh, I can't talk about like." Listen, like same thing with me. Like, I'll tell anything. I'll talk about anything right now.
Yeah.
Because like there is no secret. It's just I know. Like I could tell you right now how to do all of this.
Right.
Are you going to go do it?
Never. I'm just not going to do it. Right.
Right.
So like, and that's what's wild to me is that like, you know, and I talked about that in the beginning. Like the work is the reward. Like if you really enjoy this, that's the reward. Like like you're very lucky. You have a job that you get to do that you like. That's the reward.
That's it.
That's
you made it.
You did it, right?
Yeah, so being on the stage at the thing, that's the bonus.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Just a bonus.
Right. Like now, you found something that you enjoy doing. Do you know? Like most people don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't.
Like I don't even want to know what the percentage is because it's probably really bad and depressing.
Yeah.
Seriously,
right.
How many people go through life and never took the risk, never went after whatever their dream or goal was. Like they never even tried, and then all it is regret.
It's why I never give people a hard time if they have a crummy job. Like if someone has a crummy job and they treat me like crap, I'm like, okay, that like they probably hate their like. Yeah, I get it.
They hate their life.
Like I get it.
Not just their job.
Yeah,
they hate their whole life.
Like, I understand. Why toll booth workers aren't the most friendly people. You know what I mean? Because they deal with jerks constantly, every day. You know what I mean? I'm like, I kind of get it. You know, it's a big reason why we don't do property management, because like that is so hard.
Tough.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it puts you like me
Puts you in a bad state of mind.
Puts you in the wrong headspace.
Ruins your day.
It does, you know. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. Like,
Yeah.
So you know, that to me was just like it stood out to me. It impressed me, and I just thought to myself, like, wow, that really says something though about this industry. Is that like, be willing to do it. Like I joke around all the time. I'm like, if I ever wrote a book on real estate, it would say everything works as long as you do, right? Because and that's what's so funny too. You know, we talked about fit with managers and stuff like that, and the way to have success in real estate is to generate leads, but there's a million different ways to generate leads. So find what you're good at and go all in on that. Like if you don't like cold calling, then don't invest any money in cold calling. Right, like do something else.
Yeah, something else works too.
Right. So just whatever it is that you enjoy doing, if you're good at it, and the result is that it generates leads for you, do that all the time. But but that's not a better way. That's not the secret. It's find what works for you and do that thing.
Double down.
Yeah, and just go after it. Do it really well.
Yeah.
And so many people, I think, instead of trying to figure out what they're good at, what they enjoy doing. And instead of really investing in that, they're trying to find the secret to success. And the secret to success is do the work.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, and like that to me is just, it's interesting.
Well, part one is actually get fired from
if we get fired
20
from
jobs.
That's probably a big,
That's it,
and
there.
That'll help you.
That's it.
Help me.
Yeah.
You know, because again, sometimes you don't appreciate the good until you know what the bad is. I mean, that's the reality of it, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't appreciate the good unless you know the bad, and I know the bad. Like I've had bad, so
that's why you are where you're at.
yeah, that's why I say, okay, well, this is significantly better, and I remember like what it was like to have terrible
And
jobs.
you never want to go back.
I don't want to do it now,
And make it better for other people too. That's the other part.
try your best. You know, try your best,
Yeah.
and like I just, you know, I'm one of those guys. Like I really do have a genuine interest in the people that work with me, and trying to help them just. Obviously, to be better, like that's the bare minimum, right? Be a better realtor. That's the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I want to see them, you know, find real success and real happiness and real joy in their lives, because this isn't a video game. Like there is no reset. Like this is what it is what you put into it. Like so, you better have fun with it. You better enjoy it. You better like the people you're with. You better like the people you surround yourself with, because all those choices, I mean, they all, you know, they end up being your life.
Yeah.
And if you know, if you're not happy in that, man, oof, it's
a sad life.
It is.
It could be a real sad life.
Yeah. And you know what the crazy part is? It doesn't even have to be. But if you don't know any better, like then you just kind of accept what it is. And look, you know people. Like everybody out there knows people. At least probably a lot of people.
Yeah.
But everybody knows people that you're like, man, they are so smart or so talented or so, why are they doing this? You know what I mean? Like, like you have people in your life that you think to yourself, like, man, they should be doing
what the hell are
way
they doing?
They should be doing more. They should
Go
be
do
doing
that, man.
They should be doing better. They should have, like,
A lot of people also don't want to sacrifice or take a step back. That's the other thing.
yeah, that's true too. And look, I get that a lot, you know, especially with the school, you know, people be like, hey, how much is the real estate class? I'm like, $500. They're like, oh man, I don't have $500. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you know, like, compare that to college tuition, or you know, like you're trying to start a career in like you said, you think I think I'd love real estate, but I got a good job, and I'm, you know,
Not invest in yourself.
But you can't tell me both of those things, right? Like you can't tell me that you have a good job and then tell me that you don't have $500.
Yeah, right.
Because you can.
It's a contradiction.
Yeah, like you can't. Like you can have a really crappy job and not have $500. That's fine. Or you can have a good job and have but you can't have a good job but not have, like, because then it's not good. You know what I mean? Like, but you know what's funny? Like I lived that life for a long time. Like it would be like, you know, it'd be Wednesday. I have $42 in my checking account and I get paid on Friday. And I'm like, come on, baby.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and there's people every day living that lifestyle, but yet they're like, well, I don't think I want to try anything new. But then like, that's sad to me, because then like you're limiting like what you could be. But I mean, I know a ton of people, like I know a ton of people that I think to myself, like, man, you could be doing
potential.
Yeah, like you could be doing so much better if you just tried something.
This all the time.
You know, and they're
okay,
like, I don't know, I don't want to do it, or I don't think I can, or I don't. It's
You'd
like
be surprised.
It's like I wish I could like instill more belief in people sometimes. And you know what's funny? Like,
I think your show will.
I
think
hope
your
so.
podcast will.
I hope so,
really do.
and I hope it inspires people to do, look, whether it's real estate or something else, because I mean it's certainly real estate focused because that's what I do. But I mean, I think a lot
applied to anything in life.
I think so. I really do, especially
it's basic
business.
principles.
Especially business and just how to treat people, how to react to things, because so much of life is how you react to it. You know what I mean? And those are the things.
Like even us, I'm such a bad podcast host. Our memory card ran out halfway through the episode. No one's ever gonna know because
Never.
Eric Curtis, my guy over the other room, he's gonna cut this thing together. Nobody's ever gonna know.
Never gonna know.
If anyone does know, drop a comment right now and let us know where the episode it just stopped recording. We had to pick right back up. But what did I do when it happened? I just opened the door. I was like, hey Eric, I'm an idiot. Ran out of space. Let's figure this out. We figured it out. We were back up and recording in 30 seconds.
That's a goal. If someone can figure that out, I'd be super impressed.
Yeah, but they won't.
You never know.
Maybe.
But no, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you letting me talk about my crazy experience and getting to where I am today.
Yeah.
And like,
we'll have to do a whole other episode of just more of your firings and all that. But we'll save it for your show. Maybe save it for your show.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Good, it's good life lessons, man. It really is.
I don't know. That would be like the whole first month of the show.
I guess. Yeah. All right. You might have too many. We'll have to spread them out. We'll spread them out.
One a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how can people connect with you or Wychock online?
So the easiest way to get in touch with me. Well, let me tell you the first way not to get. Don't ever email me. I'm the worst emailer on the planet Earth. So if you if you think I'm a jerk and you want to tell me, but you don't want the stress of me knowing, email it to me.
Okay.
But yeah, so don't email. But other than that, the best way to get me, of course, probably Facebook, right? Check us out, Wychock Real Estate on Facebook. Go to our website, wychockrealestate.com. The Downtown Real Estate Academy also has a Facebook page. We have our website. You could pay for classes online. You could make your payment live in my real estate office. And I'm really like a pretty easy guy to follow. So like if you just look up Dave Wychock, I'll be there on all the social media things. And, on my website and stuff, you could find my cell phone number. The best way to get me is probably a text message, right? So we love texting. All realtors, I think all realtors love texting.
Okay. Yeah, except for that one that complained, maybe.
Right. That's like when you look on their MLS, they still have their like home phone number. Yeah. Like, do you ever send somebody a text and it comes back, this is a landline?
Yes.
And you're like, impossible.
Yeah.
Like no one has those.
Yeah,
but
my mom does though. Shout out to my mom because I know she's watching right now. She watches every episode. But I occasionally accidentally when sometimes when she calls me, she only calls from her home phone because she still likes to use the home phone, right? Yeah. And I'm like, Mom, get rid of the home phone.
No, yeah. What are you doing?
But like I'll miss a call and I'll just go to text right back. And sometimes I don't realize it, but I'm texting to the home phone. Then I get a message. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, landline. This is a landline. Who has a landline? You know what I mean?
Again, yeah.
Like
my mom.
Right. I mean, like
shout out to the moms with the landlines.
They're okay. I mean, if mom has it, that's fine.
Mom's allowed to. They're
whatever she wants. She can't write checks at the grocery store.
I don't think she does that anymore. Mom, do you still do that? I don't know.
Oh, man.
She did for a long time.
I got behind, like, if you write checks at the grocery store,
it takes too long.
I'm out. You can't.
And then they got to feed it through the thing. Who knows if that thing even works anymore.
Honest to God.
Anyway.
Honest to God. So so that's the best way to get me. Feel free to find me that way. And look, the good thing is in northeastern Pennsylvania, it's a small enough town. Pretty easy to find. So
especially with us working together now. And I'm excited to work with you, man. I'm super. It all kind of happened kind of fast. I know we don't really have a link or even a name really to even give out yet. Because we're still we're right in the midst of just getting the content up and running. But soon enough, by the time this episode comes out, it will be. So if anyone's listening right now is like, you guys are horrible at this. No, you're not even telling anybody where to go listen or watch. At this point, Dave's podcast, his show, his content will be out. And I will direct you in the comments here of this video. I'll drop the links.
There you go.
I'll promote the shit out of it for you. So everyone's like, these guys are talking about it, but they're not even telling us where to go. Horrible.
Well, it's not there yet, but it will be. And
it will be. We're talking in the future here.
I'm telling you, man, I think it's going to be an amazing thing. I really do. And I'm looking forward to it. And really, truthfully, I hope it's something that really can help people, whether they're in real estate. Because, what's funny is like, I mean, regardless of where you work, like the things I'm going to talk about will help you in your career.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
100%. And we lose track of it sometimes in real estate because it is a competitive industry. But like, when you have a deal going, if the agent on the other side of the deal is a really good agent, it's a good thing. You want to work with other really good people that are well trained, people that understand, because at the end of oh my gosh, it just makes the whole process easier when you're working with good people. So if it could help the industry as a whole, we all win. We all do well with that. So I'm really hopeful it's going to be helpful. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be entertaining.
Definitely. I'm
so
gonna be
looking
entertained.
forward to this. I can't wait. And you know what's funny, man? Like I said, what do they say? Like a year from now, you'll wish you started today, right? Like that's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I keep that in mind all the time. And I'm like, when is the right time to do something new? When is the right time to try? Are you sure you're ready? Well, let's do it.
Yeah, start when you're not ready.
Yeah,
That's when.
Right. Like
me and Eric
instead
were
of
just talking about this the other day. I was like, you got to start. You got to do it when you're not ready.
Yeah, right. Because if you wait until you're ready, it's too late.
It's too late.
And not only that, but like someone else occupies the space that you're trying to get into, and now it's that much harder.
Catch up.
Right?
Playing catch up.
So it's one of those things where it's like, when is the right time? The right time is today. So I'm looking forward to it, and I know it's going to be a really fun project. And I have a vision for where I think it can
Bigger
go.
vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's it's another thing to pursue, right? It's another thing to pursue. I do love the hunt of it all, and I can't wait to see where this thing goes. And you know what's funny? The best part about all this is, like, once you create this content, it's forever, right? So we can look back a year from now, or 3 years from now, or 5 years from now, and be like, wow, remember when we did that, and we were talking about it, and we didn't know it, and now here it is today.
Yeah.
And it'll be hopefully it'll be a fun thing to look back at and be like, wow, could you imagine it was there and now it's here, as opposed to, oh, what a disaster. But I mean, I don't think that's going to be it, obviously. But like, look, we want this thing to be big. And for me, it was an obvious choice, right? I'm actually surprised other people don't do this with you, because, like, it goes back to talking about, like, well, what do I do, right? Like, I don't cut my grass anymore because I'm not a landscaper. I pay a house cleaner because I don't want to clean the house. I pay a transaction coordinator because I don't want to write contracts anymore. I pay an admin to run the day-to-day of my office because it frees up time for me to do other things. So, like, us coming together, the partnership makes sense because I think I have a lot of great ideas that's going to create a lot of really entertaining and informative content, but I need to work with someone who can put that out there for me because I'm not a podcaster. And, the things that I can do in a short period of time with you is going to be so much better and so much more high quality. There's no learning curve here. This thing hits the ground at full speed because of your expertise and your experience. I'm shocked more people aren't doing this with you.
Me too.
Because look,
that was a great commercial. Thank you. Do I owe you for that one?
No, but just think about this, right? Like, you did build this.
Yeah.
It's here.
From scratch.
It's here.
From literally sitting on this is a pallet of money that we came up with, but literally from sitting on a pallet of paper. One picture.
Like, isn't that wild? So but think about that. But you did it. So it's here, it's active, and I do believe, like I said it earlier, like, I do believe that today content creation is what Amazon was 30 years ago, what Apple was 30 years ago. Yeah. 30 years from now, you're going to look back and go, man, I wish I
did it.
I wish I did it. And if I did, I could have had this, or I could have been there. I could have done that. And I'm not going to have that regret.
No,
I'm not going to have that regret. I think it's going to be a great success. I'm confident. I believe in myself to the end of the world. But I'll tell you what, I'm not going to wonder.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to know. I'm going to know.
know.
And that's why I made this decision, and I'm looking forward to it. And honestly, it is true. Like, if you run a small business, why you wouldn't want to create content about it, especially in a place like Northeastern Pennsylvania, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. 100%. We'll leave it there.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate the time.
All right, brother. Dave Wychock on the Stacks podcast in the Blue Door studio. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks.
If you want to see more On The Stacks content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/onthestackspodcast, or search the hashtag OnTheStacks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.